nice copper coin. But oh, Doug, do you know what time it is?
45 up.
Who says 45 of, Doug? It's quarter after. What's up, guys? Hoarder here, and I'm excited about tonight's guest. If you're not familiar with Terry Shannon, you will be. The guy is a rock star, someone I idolize, who not only finds great things, but has the right attitude. And man, having the right attitude makes this hobby so much better. Let me put my glasses on. What'd you think of my new cool intro? Did you guys see it? I don't know if you caught it. I was trying to make it a little more exciting. But I'm going to bring in some of the guys because I have a few things to talk about before Terry comes in. So let me bring in the one and only Mr. Dog Tag Doug, Mexican Doug. Jane Fond Doug, how are you, Dougie?
I'm doing well. Had a great day.
Did you have a good day? I didn't get to talk to you. Oh, this one I'm thinking of yesterday.
Yeah, I did 5 buttons yesterday.
Okay, that's not bad.
No.
I'm going to bring in Charlie real fast, too. I'm going to bring in Rich and Lynn in a second because the three of us and our buddy Matt went up to Massachusetts this weekend for a long 3-day weekend, and we were hunting some of the oldest places we've ever hunted before. There was 5 centuries of coins that were found. We hunted the very first library ever erected in America. It goes back to, 1650 something. And every single one of us, there was about 10 of us all together. Everyone had amazing things. It was a heck of a weekend. So I want to thank our host, Eric Thompson, who was in the chat earlier. He's probably still here. We had a great time, Dougie.
Yeah, there he is. Yep, we had a blast.
1644. I actually I made the library newer than it really was. But let me get a couple hellos real quick, Doug. I see Hot Mess Fishing. Alicia, one of our moderators, is in the chat. Alicia, always good to see you. Thank you for helping out. And Wicked Digger, Chris, who I didn't realize apparently lives fairly close to Cape Cod, or I would have gave him a call. I didn't really know. I knew he was up there somewhere, but I'm not sure. I think he's like within a half an hour or so away. Michael, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Doug.
I had a buddy up there who was a little annoyed that I didn't swing by being that close, but I told him we had a very, very tight schedule.
Yeah, it was tough. We had like 8 houses in 2 days.
Essentially 2 days.
And we hunted the Airbnb, which turned out to be phenomenal. On paper, the Airbnb was built in the late 1800s, but there must have been something there before that because we found a lot of stuff, 200 years older than that. When you're in an old area like that, who knows what starter homes were there, or even if they were just active farm fields. But there was obviously a lot of activity all over the place.
Yep.
I'll do a couple hellos, Doug, real quick. Toledo Tab is here. Audrey Girlinghouse, Danimal Diggs, Dirty Paws Detecting, Marty Vistrolls, Digging with Marty, Michael Bomoff, Slickinator, Louisiana Mud Dog. Jay Cook is here.
Hey.
A little fall. I hope you're feeling better, Jay.
I think he got his cast off, I think.
Beach hunter Jay is himself. So, but you better listen to some of Terry's tips today, Jay. He is the foremost expert. Ski Searcher is here. Mitch and Renita Barks. Mitch, I hope you're doing better, buddy. Mitch was in that car accident we mentioned. So thankful that, as bad as it looked, I'm hoping it was all things that will heal, which, given the circumstances, I'll take that, Doug.
Yep.
D&G Detecting. Bells is here. Tom Kingery, Smoking Louie. It goes on and on and on and on. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Let me bring in the fourth one right now, Mrs. Lindiana Jones. How are you, Lynn?
Hey, everybody.
We're waiting for Rich. He had a flat tire driving to the stream tonight. He's fixing it right now. He told me he'd be around 7:30, so when he gets here, he gets here.
Right.
Now, Doug, was it you or Charlie that told me you actually had time today to watch some of Terry's videos that he has up?
Was Charlie, but I did as well.
Oh, did you? I watched them all. I mean, I was kind of sad that he only has 8 videos up because I find him to be very easy listening to, a wealth of knowledge. So I'm
And
really
they are brief too. So, if you got a busy schedule, you can always get one of his videos in real quick and then back to your schedule. So
yeah, most YouTube videos are that length. I'm the oddball, Doug, that puts these half-hour long videos.
yeah, you think you're the Ozzy and Harriet show?
No, I just how do I cut out? I love
Doesn't-
I love capturing funny things, and jokes don't tell themselves in 2 seconds.
That's right.
Yeah, Tuesday's video was half hour.
Yeah, it was a half hour. But and Charlie, from what I found out, a bunch of people in the comments said that ring you found was indeed real.
Yeah.
I emailed the property owner. Well, I texted him. He took it to a jeweler already. It is real, and they are diamonds in there, Charlie. So for anyone who caught the video, we kind of dismissed it as costume. It's a real engagement ring. I'm just not sure what the material is.
Well,
Yeah.
they think I saw some of the comments that rhodium, which is more expensive or costly than platinum. Rhodium is a very expensive metal. So I don't know.
Well, we're going to have to do an update on it or not, because
I
in the video,
I actually called Dave up today. No, I'm sorry, he called me.
yeah, he's a good guy,
He
Dave.
told me. Yeah,
He's
it's
trying
real.
to give you that boat. He's trying to give you that boat that was in
Yeah.
That's a prize, Charlie.
He said,
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it, just a couple holes in it.
a couple holes in it. The tires were all blown out, but hey, he's giving you the boat. So
If you had the ring, you could buy a new 30-foot 2 outboards on it. But he'll give you that boat for nothing.
Bring that boat up to Amish land here.
he's a good dude. That was a good yard, though, Charlie. I mean, the ring and the cap gun. Rich with the live dig of a chicken egg. That's the first time anyone I've ever known dug up a chicken's egg about 3 inches under the ground.
That was
And amazingly, he didn't break it.
Of all the things he hits, he doesn't hit a chicken egg. How crazy is that?
He didn't nix them.
I'm going to ask Terry when he comes on in 6 minutes, because of all the things Terry's found over the years, I bet he hasn't found a chicken egg, Doug.
probably
No.
not.
Rich
But
has sole
Terry-
ownership of that.
Terry says it's going to get colder tomorrow, 70 degrees. 70 degrees.
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing about down in Florida. He's just probably waiting for a storm to come in, because
Yeah.
I wish my beach hunting knowledge was vaster. I don't do a lot of beaches, but he's really good. He goes up and down the coast. He'll get out and he'll look down the beach. He knows just what to look for. And, that comes with experience and skill and time with boots on the ground. And the proof is in the pudding with the results, Charlie.
Yeah.
I hate to talk about him too much while he's not here, but he had a really good quote in one of his videos that I might borrow going forward, Doug, because I thought it was really good. Where, every once in a while we'll get someone who will say, oh, you guys are so lucky to live there. You guys are so lucky to hunt here. And Terry's quote was, "It seems the harder we work, the luckier we get."
Yeah.
Well,
I heard that.
I've told you a number of times that luck is the residue of design.
Right, but I don't understand that. I mean, that's really complicated. Terry's was English.
Well, in other words, the more you plan and calculate and work, the more luck you're going to have.
That's right. You make your own luck.
Right.
Exactly.
And I'm going to borrow that with Terry's blessing.
Well, you
because
plagiarize everything else. You might as well take
I'm going to
that.
borrow it, and I'll give him credit when I use it. But that's true. I mean, we do get, there is some luck involved. Don't get me wrong. But, you make your own luck. You put yourself in the position to have good luck.
I'm waiting for some of
I'll tell you
Charlie's to rub off on me.
You get better luck if you take a nap halfway through.
Oh my goodness!
Remember the last time you and I took a nap like Charlie, and we woke up and came up, and he had 5 holes, 4 coppers, and a dandy button.
Well, the video from it hasn't come out yet. I'll let everybody know, because it'll probably be about a month before it comes out. But 2 weeks ago, we hunted all day. Charlie went back to the truck to take a nap for about an hour, which is normal.
Yeah.
He gets out of the truck. The very first hole he digs, gold ring, 14 karat gold ring. Every time he takes a nap, that rascal gets something great. So you know what I'm kind of carrying for now on, Doug? I'm getting rid of my finds bag and I'm carrying a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
I'm just going to lay out in the field and take a nap every time.
We can do stuff to you when you're asleep, like draw things on you.
Yeah, you can draw things on me. You can paint on me with some of the charcoal we dig up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It'll be a good old gag.
I can't nap. I have to catch up with everybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, Lynn, listen, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but Lynn's been hunting dusk till dawn with us, or dawn till dusk. I messed it up. For like the last 2 or 3 hunts, she got her first bucket lister on the same day Charlie got his ring. So, you know, when you first start detecting, there's a lot of bucket listers to find, you know, because your plate is empty.
Yep.
But Lynn's starting to knock off some good ones. So
no
I'm
gold
excited.
ring though.
Well, hey, I'm excited this weekend.
Charlie's getting them all.
Yeah.
We got some really good spots lined up for this weekend, so I'm hoping Lynn will knock off some more bucket listers.
That would be fun.
Dirt fishing Matt.
As long as it doesn't snow too much, we'll be all right.
Yeah, are they really calling for snow?
Yeah, where I'm at, yes.
All right, Doug, I'll call you tomorrow. We'll set up a backup plan in Jersey, because there's no snow in Jersey, just in case.
Yeah, we're only supposed to get a dusting here, and the closer to the Poconos, Charlie's about they're saying maybe 2 to 3 inches, but it'll melt pretty quick because the surface is too warm to hold it.
As soon as I heard the word snow, I'm growing a beard, and I put my snowplow on already today.
You're going to plow the fields for us?
Yeah, I'll plow for you guys.
All right, thank you. I hope the farmer doesn't mind.
He's my cousin. He's all right.
Well, we'll think of a backup plan just in case. I know a few spots that we could go to, and we'll have a backup. I don't want to get skunked. Digging Canuck is in the chat. How are you, Liz? I haven't seen Liz in a while. I hope you're doing good. Mark the Senile Detectorist. I like that name, Doug. Senile Detectorist. Scott Cash is in here. Silver Assassin.
I didn't. Oh, there's Scott. Yep,
he's in there. Silver Assassin, who made the video from 2 weeks ago, Doug, with a nice 2-center. I wonder if you ever got a date off that. In the video, I mentioned I've never been with anyone that dug a 2-cent piece that was not dated 1864 or 5. Doug, no longer. I had about 30 people email me pictures of their 2-centers that were out of that date range. So,
well, his was, I think, 1868. He said, right?
I don't remember. My memory is very short. If you can put it in there, if he knows. We got 1 minute, Doug. I'm going to get ready to introduce Terry. I was hoping Rich would be here in time. I don't think he's going to make it. Jersey Ray Diggs is here. Dave and Laura. NEPA History and Archaeology Search, Michael McGee. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. So let me get the introduction, Doug, because I'm going to bring him in because he talks as much as I do, and I find him to be incredibly interesting. So, guys, if you're not familiar with Terry Shannon, you can Google him. You can go to YouTube, whatever. Terry hunts the famed 1715 Spanish fleet, which all sunk from a hurricane off the coast of Florida. And even though it was salvaged for the last 300 years, things still wash up on shore all the time. And if you know how to read a beach, using Terry's words, you can still find treasure there today. And the proof is in the pudding. So let me bring him in, the one and the only, the legend himself, Mr. Terry Shannon. Terry, how are you, sir? That's not Terry. There he is. Terry, you handsome devil, you're looking good down there in the Florida sun.
I wish my wife was watching this after the way you talk about me.
I'm scoring you brownie for you. Well, you are a legend in this hobby. Like, you're one of the founding fathers of this hobby that, like, is known. Look, I don't even hunt beaches, and I knew who you were because you've elevated yourself through not only finds and time served, but the attitude that you have towards the hobby, that it's, more than just looking for treasure, but the exercise, the people you meet, the friendships you make. And that's what I try to always put out there. So you are a true inspiration, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. It's a wonderful hobby. I don't see any downside of it. It's really, I'm 83 years old. I was on no medication whatsoever until I got bit by that deer tick this spring, and that's the true treasure. I get out there, and the people I meet, it's just amazing. But you talk about me being well known. I think part of the reason for that is I talk all the time.
Me too.
Yeah, everybody says I'm a storyteller. There's a girl, we live in a trailer park now. We started out in our motorhome on the beach, and Salt Air just wrecked it. I mean, we were right on the beach. And so we ended up going, we're about, maybe a block off the ocean. It's a straight shot. There's nothing in between us. But it was just, Salt Air was just wrecking everything. So we're back here, and actually we're living in the trailer house and just loving every minute of it.
Well, that's good. Now, Doug, I before I get into some of the stories, technology being what it is, Doug, I had a real nice slideshow of a bunch of pictures and all that. It's not working. Something's going on. So I don't have pictures of all Terry's books that I wanted to at least promote, because he's quite the author also. But I do at least want to show that I have in my hand his newest book, Detecting the Treasure Coast. So if you guys aren't familiar, I have links in the description of this to Terry's website where you can pick up a copy. And Doug, I know you're a little jealous, but Terry signed mine. So look, he's got one. Oh, you got a copy too, Terry.
Yeah, I bought them all here. Actually, that was my very first book. And of course, when I started out there in black and white, and this thing is done so well, it's just unreal, the amount of these that I've sold, that I redid it in color.
I went through the whole book in the last week. It's a really good read. For someone that doesn't even beach hunt necessarily, it makes me want to go beach hunt. It makes me want to go try it. So we're going to have to add it to our repertoire, because after tonight, I'm hoping that Terry will be able to give us some tips, because one of my things, and you can ask everyone here, I always said, man, you go to the beach, you step out there, it's so vast, you don't know where to begin. I wouldn't even know where to start. And then guys like Terry help narrow that down and kind of gives you clues of what to look for and how to read that beach to give yourself a better chance for success. So Terry, can you give, well, let's go to the beginning. What originally got you involved in metal detecting?
Oh, well, years ago, my wife had some kind of medical issue, and she was supposed to take it easy. And we had a small little mini motorhome at that time. And I said, let's take a vacation. And I was in the Navy, and a friend of mine my best friend in the Navy lived in Tampa, Florida. So we drove down to see him. And then when we were done, we went across it's called Alligator Alley, and come up the East Coast. And there's a museum, the McClarty Museum. The state owns it, and it's all about 1715. And of course, I was just absolutely, amazed with all that. And it showed all these Spanish coins, the cob coins, these things are just, I had the fever really bad. And I asked the ranger, I said, are they still finding that on the beach? And he got a scrapbook, and he brought it out, and he showed it. People would come in with their finds from the beach, and he'd take a picture and put it in a scrapbook. That's what I wanted. And it took years. I had to retire and all that sort of stuff, but we headed for Florida, and my wife, I flew over to Japan to visit our son, and when she come back, I stayed here to metal detect. And I said, we're not leaving. We haven't left since then. We've been here. 2004. And I loved every minute. They're just, I am so blessed to be able to do what I do.
So what was the first cool thing that you found? Maybe, I know the first really good thing that you have there, but do you remember the first thing that you found with your detector where you're like, wow, this magic stick really can, change my life and give me something to do that I just love and enjoy?
Well, I tell you, the very first stuff I found was a bunch of gold rings. I live in big time gold rings. It just, in fact, excuse me.
Go ahead. I had a picture of his rings, Doug, but it's not working. So look at that.
Wow.
That's my wife's rings. That's her rings.
Those are just the ones she gets first dibs on, right?
I used to be the sheriff in Becker County. I was the county sheriff. I was an elected position. I used to tell everybody that I was the most powerful man in the county, and I was until I drove in my driveway. and nothing's changed, and it just pleases me. Every time I find something, if she likes it, it pleases me. But there was a river, and I grew up on the same river. It's amazing. Our farm was bordered this river where the kids tube. And nobody, I was hunting the beaches and hunting the yards and that stuff back home. And all of a sudden, I started going to these beaches, and there's all kinds of holes where somebody beat me to it. And, so I started going into the river, and I was getting 80 to 100 rings a year out of that river, and some really good rings.
Wow.
And I remember I wondered if I was ever going to find a gold ring. Well, then, it went up to I ever find one with a diamond. And on this book here, if you see that pile of rings, that's 1,000 rings, and I found all those.
There's a picture on your YouTube page. I think it's one of the thumbnails you used, where it's a giant mound of rings, Doug. And I had it queued up, but
I saw it looking over the videos. Yeah,
it's impressive. I mean,
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was going to say, you found in your lifetime of detecting how many rings? Over 1,000 rings?
Oh, well over 1,000. Yeah, it just. I'm out there every day. Like I belong to a club, and they bring their finds in to, and I don't like to do that because it's not fair. The guys in the club, they're working all week long, and they got to go out on the weekend. Here's the old guy out there 7 days a week. I'm short and fat, close to the ground, so I'm gonna find those. And and you have to choose. You don't want to upset people, so I'd rather have their friendship.
Okay.
But I've been really lucky. But the saying, the harder you work, the luckier you get, and that's so true. It just.
I hope I have your blessing that I might borrow that when people tell me I'm lucky a lot. I thought that was very poignant, and I really like the way it comes across.
You certainly can. It's yours forever.
Well, I will share it, but I'll give you full credit for it.
But anyway, when we moved down here, my goal was to get my name in that book. I wanted to find the Spanish coin. And that first year, I all up and down the beach. I worked hard, never found one. The second year we had a storm, and we had our camper right on the beach, and it blew for 3 days. It was just unreal. And on the fourth day, I'm right out in front of my camper. I think I found like 140 some coins, a lot of them silver. And then I found this one, my very first Spanish coin. It's
now that's a cob, right?
That's a cob. Yeah, the cobs are, they're
all different
silver, and they'll whack off approximately weight. And everyone's different, but all the weight is right. They have an assayer that will shave them down to get the right. If you look at this, you can see how they shave it down. That's where it's very rare to get one of these cob coins with a date, because the assayer cuts them off when he's shaving the weight down.
And when you find these cobs on the beach, they're like black and crusty, aren't they? Like, if you didn't know what you were looking at, you might think it's a rock and maybe just walk past it.
They tell stories about people, picking them up and thinking they make good skipping rocks and throwing them back out.
Throwing them back in the ocean. Doug.
Yeah, that was in the old days. It isn't like that anymore. But they get really black. But the majority of the coins that I have found, the good ones that I have found, have washed out of the dunes, and they're green. They're just very impressive.
So they've been on land, out of the water for a while, and the ocean's just bringing them back again.
There was a couple years ago that I tell everybody we're not creatures of habit, but we always eat at the same time, and we have supper at 5:00, and I'm on the beach detecting, and I called my wife at 8:00 and said, I'm really going to be late.
As you're 3 hours late.
I said, because I was 3 hours already. And she said, what's going on? I said, I am finding so much stuff. It's just unreal. If I swung my detector, I'd have 3 different signals. She said, what are you finding? I said, I don't know. I can't see. I didn't plan to be out this long. I don't have a light there. But we went back to that, and I found some artifacts that night. But we went back the next day, and we found 5 8-reals. This buddy of mine and another friend found 8 reals. And this real that I found, it's probably my nicest coin. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really got a lot of,
wow, did you hear it hit the table, Doug?
Yeah.
It sounded like you dropped a brick.
I'm sorry. But anyway, when my detector went off, I looked down, I could see it laying there. I just reached down and picked it up.
Oh, it was on the surface.
On the surface. And Jerry's, 2 that Jerry got were on the surface also. And then my third buddy come out. I called him up. I said, I just found a heck of a nice real. And he said, he happened to be working right close. And he said, I'm going to come out and look at it. So here he comes out to the beach. and he walked up and I showed him and he said, "You found it? It was laying right on top." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I'm going to walk around, look." And he got about 30 feet from me and he turned around and he goes like this, and he found a real.
Wow,
So
on the
laying
surface.
on top. So totally we got 5. See? And he asked me, he said, I was gridding the beach going his way, so I would have gotten it certainly,
Yeah.
And he said, "Are you mad?" And I said, "No." I said, "Just make a
No.
heck of a story."
In a way, it kind of reminds me, where we hunt, mostly farm fields, houses. We have a few fields where we've done amazingly. And years ago, not so much anymore, the farmer would plow at the end of the season and bring things up. So if we went back the next year, we have found large scents on the surface, buttons on the surface. But the beach, after any good storm, after any, strong winds, you potentially could bring things up, every day, or at least every time that weather changes. That's got to be really exciting that your hunting grounds never really get depleted.
It really doesn't. See, a lot of the stuff, like this coin, was green. The 2 Jerry got were black. His were washed in. Mine was washed out. See, it's been 300 years or over 300 years since the ship sank. A lot of the stuff washed in, and of course the beach is going back. So, the pirates were when they were salvaging the coins, the pirates were attacking them. So they were burying it. Plus, a lot of guys were trying to steal it.
Sure.
And so a lot of stuff got buried, and so I tell everybody, if you're going to plan a trip and you only got a week to come down here, use the weather to your advantage. In other words, come down when you have a full moon, because when you get the full moon, the tides go way up and they go way out, and on the waves when they come in, they keep coming in about the same, and then every once in a while there's that one rogue wave that comes way up. I've been knocked down, I don't know how many times with that wave, and I think that washed this one out, because it comes in, it had a lot of power. As it goes out, it doesn't have as much, and it's dropping stuff. So it dawned on me, after I found that, it was right at the full moon phase. It's going to be 2 more weeks before we had a new moon, and that tide was going way up, and so I hunted nothing but high all along that bank, and I just did phenomenal. I got all kinds of stuff. I didn't get any more Spanish coins, but in that spirit, I got some really nice stuff.
So the high tide on a full moon would be like your crescendo of opportunity. Is that's the maximum that those waves are coming up, hitting the dunes with enough power to bring things in that haven't been brought in who knows, hundreds of years.
And it moves sand. It just does. If we get a wind coming from the northeast, for example, the waves will eventually run down the beach, and they form these cuts. And I've seen cuts that are well over my head. So you're detecting, 12 feet lower than you could, the day before. It just wash that out. And then you get what you warn people on these riptides. The riptides where the waves are washing in.
Yeah, they pull grown men out.
Go out like that. It starts washing stuff out. And those, I call them bowls because they're about a half shape of a bowl. And those happen all year long, or all winter long, and they can be just phenomenal. I mean, I've had several times when I found 5 or 6 rings in a bowl.
Now, what in nature is causing that bowl? For the people at home, like if they were going to walk down a beach and they're looking for something to maybe go investigate harder than another area, you always do recommend those bowls. Can you explain the reasoning for it?
Well, the waves come in and somehow it forms and it kind of comes together and it washes out that way. But the secret is look for the fisherman. When you see a bowl, you'll see a fisherman right in it because, as that bowl is washing the sand out, it's washing sediment, and all these small fish are feeding on it, and then, of course, the big fish are feeding on them. And that's
okay.
And I walked one day from here, where we live, down south, nothing. I walked 1.5 miles and not a signal. And I got to this bowl, and there's a fisherman standing right in the middle of it, and it was just loaded with stuff, And so, I walked up to him and asked him. I said, I've gone about 1.5 miles. I found nothing. I said, where you're at, it's just loaded. Would you mind moving a little bit? And he did. He was really good. I found the first. It was just a honker of a diamond ring, a really beautiful ring. And then I found one of these bronze ship spikes, these old ship spikes.
Oh, I saw a lot of them in your book. Yes.
Yeah. They go back to the early 1500s, probably. They go way back there, And it was bull. And then it was really funny because I, thanked the guy and all that sort of stuff. And then I mentioned it. I wrote it in one of my books, and I was detecting last year. And the guy walked up. He said, "Are you Terry Shannon?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I'm the fisherman in your book." I said,
"Oh, no kidding! That's cool."
I said, "Can you wait right here?" I said, "My car's right over there. I want to go over." And I gave him a couple of books of mine. So.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
It's funny. On a separate note, Doug likes to hang around bowls all day long too, but he leaves things rather than finds things.
There's a story there, Doug, that I'm going to have to hear about eventually.
Invite me down, Terry. I'll tell you all about it.
You all have a standing invitation to come down.
I would love to, Doug, especially in the winter when it gets maybe a weekend and go down and hang out with Terry. And
are you kidding?
We'll visit
I would love that.
Yeah, the history is just phenomenal down here.
No, it is, and the opportunity is there. And I love, how early in your detecting career did you start putting it together of looking for these bowls and looking at the moon and kind of strategizing your hunt? Because when you first started, you probably just went out and just walked the beach like I would do.
Well, I've got some stories I can tell you how people found stuff where I should have, and all that. But it came gradually. The more I hunted, the more I learned, and it's just one of those things that if you pay attention, and the secret on good detecting is detecting where things are to be found. I mean, if you're swinging a $2,000 detector and doing everything right, and there's nothing there, you're not going to find anything. The key is hunting where the stuff is. And I tell everybody, I'm the only guy down here in Florida that every day I get up, I pray for bad weather. I want the storms.
Bad weather's your friend.
Exactly.
Now, we were complaining before you came on. We're supposed to have some bad weather Friday night. And so we're trying to make new plans, but you're like, yes, let's go.
The storms are good to me. They really are.
Yeah.
But I'm from Minnesota. I've gone through all this. I'm retired now. It's my time,
Now, Terry, I heard a story, and you can confirm or deny, but, I heard a story that through the grapevine that because you're so successful at this, one time a guy, there's Rich Van Winkle who sneaks in. There he is.
Hey, everybody.
I'm tired, Terry, but I'm glad he made it.
Hey, Terry. Nice to meet you.
Same here.
I heard a story that because you're so successful, you were looking up and down the beaches one day and you noticed someone stuck a GPS tracker on your vehicle so they could monitor where you go so they could try to go there. Is that true? And is that were you totally freaked out by that?
Yes, it is true. And yes, I was totally freaked out by it.
I would be too.
My buddy, Jerry Pope, and I were at one of the places we were parked side by side and we're talking, and he could see the tracker underneath my car.
Man.
And I used to be a county sheriff. I put a bunch of people in prison. I am still, every 3 years, I'm writing a letter to the parole board asking them not to release this one guy.
Oh, still.
Yeah. So I've got enemies. In my career, three different houses we lived in over that period of time, they drove by and shot into the house. We were coming back from a party up in Fargo with my wife, and I was driving, and I noticed this car coming up behind me, and I kept speeding up. I got up to about 85, 90 miles an hour, and my wife asked me, "Why are we driving so fast?" And I said, "There's some creeps right on our tail." And they pulled up alongside. I grabbed my wife, threw her down on the floor, and they were dopers. I had just made a bunch of dope arrests. And I always carry a gun, but I had it in a shoulder hose. I had taken it off, but I had trouble getting the gun out. But when I got the gun out, I'm doing 90, they left me like I'm standing still. See, They ran my other vehicle one time. So I'm paranoid. So when the guy put the tracker on my car, I'm thinking, maybe it's one of the guys that I arrested coming back after me. I'm real paranoid that way. Or the second thing I was thinking about is, I've got a lot of treasure in my house. I've got a lot of stuff. Are they watching where I'm going so they can break into my house? See, so my wife there is not safe. The last thing I worried about is him wondering where I'm going. The beach changes twice a day. I've got favorite spots, and spots have been real successful. But really, you don't go. I get up in the morning, I'm checking different beaches. I don't go to one unless I know it's really good. So this guy put a tracker on. He went to court for. Well, I took the tracker to the sheriff's office, and they said they couldn't do anything. So I said, "Give it back, I can." And
give it back, I can.
Oh, there we go. anyway, I was able to track him down, and I went back to the sheriff's office and walked in there, and they said the case is closed. I said, no, it's not. I being a cop my whole life, I wasn't intimidated by him.
Yeah.
And anyway, they ended up getting a search warrant. We did get the guy, and he went back and forth. He had a lawyer and that stuff. This summer, he called me up and he said, Terry, he said, I'm sorry, I'll do whatever you want. He said, whatever, I'll plead guilty to everything. He's been fighting it all the time. He said, I'll never do anything like that again. And I said, did you spend any time in jail? He said, yeah, I spent one night in jail. And I said, I'll tell you what, I said, and he said, the county attorney is going to call you today to get to see what you want done. And I said, you've been fighting this thing for 2 years. You spent a night in jail. I think you learned your lesson. And I said, when the county attorney calls, I'm going to drop the charges. And I did.
Wow, that was very big of you because he put you
in
a
the courts are so busy on a crappy little thing like that. But I did want to learn his lesson. But I've been followed by drones and a lot of people. When I found this coin, for example, and I shouldn't tell this story, but I'm going to. When I found the coin, we're driving home, and I told Jerry, I said, stop the car. We're about 3 miles from where I found it. And we walk out on the beach, and I stood there, and I held up my coin, and the picture was taken. You could just see a little bit of a house in the background, and took the picture. And, of course, I posted it and all that sort of stuff. A couple of days later, I got a call from a couple of guys, and they said, we figured out right where you were, and we didn't find nothing. I said, I'll be there.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, I know from experience, doing videos, I've had people over the years that would email me and say, oh, I know exactly where you are. I saw that store. I Googled it online. And, I don't mind that they go there, but are they going to get permission? Or are they just going to sneak on? We all try to do it the right way. And I don't care if you come in behind me, but make sure you do it the right way. Don't just assume that my permission transfers to you or, whatever.
That brush paints us all. The guy that won't fill his holes up or leaves his garbage out, it makes us all look bad.
Exactly.
If these people would ask me, I'll tell them, it isn't a great big secret. But when you get sneaky, then I want to be, kind of a butt.
Well, go ahead, Doug. I'm sorry.
Let me ask Terry something real quick. Terry, I assume then you have maybe a dozen or maybe even more beaches that you will go to today. You might go to a couple, tomorrow a couple more, but you're always going back to those same ones at different times, I guess, based on the weather.
Yeah, I hunt. Melbourne Beach is probably about in the middle of the area that I hunt. I go north up as far as Patrick's Air Force Base, and I go south down as far as the inlet. Now, I'll go on the other side of the inlet, not often, but I do that. And there's a big main beach down there that everybody hunts. It's called Turtle Trail. And there's a wreck right off there. And I found, I was down there one time, and I found about 210 musket balls.
Wow.
Holy cow.
And one Spanish coin. And this was in a 3-day period. And so, it's a very popular beach, but I just don't go down there that often.
Yeah.
I stay up in the north side, and I hunt northly from the inlet north, and so I don't have a lot of competition. Actually, I'm the only guy that doesn't go to. I don't go to the popular beaches that are advertised all the time. And I do know where the wrecks are. A lot of the wrecks.
Yeah.
Something I was reading in one of Terry's books is that a lot of detectorists in the area will go to the popular beaches because they're thinking, well, there's, thousands of people here. They're going to drop thousands of things. But Terry's works under the assumption that, for every one ring in the dry sand, there's 7 or 8 out in the surf. Right. And that surf will move it. So even though it's maybe popular here, he'll hunt over here and he's got over 1,000 rings. The proof is in the pudding. Those are the things, I guess, just from years of doing it and learning and paying attention that you kind of hunt outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, I do. And I'm impressed. You read my book, didn't you, Jason?
You think I wasn't going to read it? You're darn right I did.
It does move. Jerry, this friend of mine, found a ring and returned the ring to the guy. And the guy insisted he lost it about 12 miles away from where he found it. And I had a friend of mine. We live at this trailer park, and it's a mobile home park. And he was right in front of the steps when he lost his wedding ring. And I found it for him 3 days later, at least 300 yards down the beach. And it was gold, of course. So it moves back and forth. And in the summertime, it's heading south, and in the wintertime, it's coming back.
Yeah, it's amazing that you pay attention, and I just found it fascinating because I always wondered, we've never hunted a beach ever, and I always thought, well, do you hunt the towel line or do you hunt the water line? And if you do, I always thought, well, you walk out to the wet and just start walking until your feet get tired and call it a day. But Terry has a legitimate strategy to it, which I never thought of. So
in one of his videos, he makes a very valid point. Most people lose their jewelry, specifically rings, while they're in the water. When their fingers shrink because they've been in the water all day, and off comes the ring. And very few, unless they take the ring and jewelry off while they're sitting at the towel, and so they won't wear it into the beach and then flip the towel later and it's in the dry sand. But most people will lose that jewelry while they're in the water.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Your hands shrink. I think your ratio is, I think, pretty accurate. I mean, it's something I just made up, but I really think that
a lot of validity to it.
Yeah.
No, there is. And what I like about it too is that even though he's right and he's proven it, through years of success, he doesn't come off like an elitist. He even tells you, look, this is my opinion. And based on my opinion of, decades doing this, I'm going to share this knowledge. And I have a lot of respect for those people. Rather than like talking down to you, he's like, look, this is what I've learned. This seems to really work. Let me share.
Give it a try. Yeah, give it a try.
Yeah, I really like that. I mean, I don't like, I've read some books where I felt like the author was talking down to me, and I didn't like it. But Terry's like an old friend. So I really do recommend picking up his books. I only have the one because he mailed it to me, but I'm going to get some of the other ones too. I can't tell you enough how much I enjoyed the book and learned a lot from the book. And I want to try to get some of, now there's a lot of shipwrecks around our way, Doug. Maybe a crabbing boat. We know
of a couple.
One of the maps that I had, Terry, that was going to be shown right now was a map of the coast of Florida that showed like hundreds of boat wrecks, the name of the boat, the year it crashed, all down the coast. And I'm sure you've probably seen it before. Outside of just these, the 715 fleet of 11, there's been hundreds and hundreds of shipwrecks for centuries that who knows what's washing up.
This coin that I'm wearing is 1544.
Wow.
It's a Carlish and one.
Wow.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's in great shape too.
Oh, I found two of them. The other one is in a lot worse shape, but I got two of them. And this is, 15, it's well before the 1715 fleet. I've got coins. I got one, I think it was 1664. I forget, but, and there's a lot of ships. A couple of years ago, fellow Dwayne and Jerry Pope and myself were down there, and we got into these coins, and they were washing in. They were all fused together.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I should explain. I've got kind of a weird hand. I offend people.
Do that again towards Jason.
When I was sheriff, I was talking one time, and the newspaper was there, and they took my picture, and I had my hands up like that, and every time I mentioned a word, that's the picture went in the paper.
Yeah, there's a lot of pictures of him where he's blurred out so they can cover up.
Yeah. But
I see him.
these
all
things
crusted up.
are fused together. It just, we were so excited. I mean, these are shipwrecks. I bet you I found 50 coins there.
Wow.
All excited about this stuff, and cleaned one up, and it was 1960. It's an Australian coin.
Oh,
and
you should have left them dirty.
But it's shipwreck. I took my grandkids out, and by golly, one of my granddaughter's husband found one from this wreck. So I made up a certificate of authenticity, and it came from an unknown shipwreck that is unexplored, but it's kind of a modern coin. But you're right. There's all kinds of stuff out there. And I found Gaio. that's 1628, and it's a very religious thing, and I took it, I think 3 or 4 different archaeologists, and they said it's priceless, and they figure it come off a West Indian ship that's like in 1628. They did a survey with a big helicopter dragging this thing up and down from the path, from the Cape Canaveral down to the inlet, and I think it was like 300 or 400 wrecks. They believed to be wrecks.
Wow.
So that it's just amazing. And out of the 1715, that's they know for a fact that 15 of these ships sank. They've only found 6. The 7th one is right out here. The 7th one is right out from me here. It's at 600 yards out. There's a 43 foot of water. But
that's all. Now, have you
done that? Are in 10 feet of water or lower. Yeah.
Now, do people still actively dive those shipwrecks, or are they like protected?
You have admiralty rights. In other words, Mel Fisher, the guy that discovered the Etosha, came up here, and Kip Wagner was an old fellow that was finding these gold and silver coins on the beach, and he formed a company called the Real 8 Company. And he eventually had a lot of successes, and he brought up Mel Fisher, and Mel Fisher worked that, and then Mel actually went on down and was looking for the Etosha. But the government come in and said, we want all the coins. They belong to us, see. And Mel Fisher, I don't know how many millions he spent. I think it was $7 or $8 million. He was in court for, I think, 5 or 6 years, but he won. He won the admiralty rights to it, And as a gentleman, and he was very smart, he told the state, he said, I'll tell you what, you stay off our back, we'll volunteer to give you 20% of what we find. See, and so he has sold the admiralty rights to a place called the Queen's Jewels or something like that, and I think now they've passed it on. So the guys that hunt it, it used to cost you $1,000 to go out there for a summer for the whole summer, and then you had to split it 50-50 with the people that had the admiralty rights. But anything you find on the beach is yours. It's very
now when you say, I guess I've always been confused where you say anything you find on the beach. But because the beach changes from day to day, time to time, on low tide, you might be twice as close to that shipwreck as you would be on high tide on a full moon. But as long as can you be chest high in the water and still be considered the beach?
No, I don't think so.
Where does it not become beach anymore?
See, the problem is that I think on these admiralty rights, I think it's like 300 yards each side of the known wreck. So there's gaps all in between.
Okay.
Nobody pays any attention to that. But actually, north of the inlet, I think it goes about a mile north of the inlet. Don't quote me on it, but I think it's about a mile or so. So up where I'm at, I can go anywhere I want.
Okay, I got you.
You can go into the water or something. The problem with that is that the Atlantic is just so rough. My gosh, I went out one day, it looked kind of calm, and I'm walking out, and this wave, I looked at it, rolled me over backwards, and I get up, I'm spitting and sputtering, and this old fellow run down, he's probably as old as I was, and asked if I was okay. And I said, yeah, I'm fine. And I'm getting ready to go back out. And he said, my gosh, he said, you're determined. And he got right in my face and he said, have you found Jesus?
No, but I found this silver coin.
What's cool, Doug, and I'll see if Terry will tell a story, because I heard a couple of them, is sometimes he'll wade out, the ocean will create like a little, I don't know what you'd call it, like a ditch in the water. Yeah. And he'll go out because it's a low spot. Sand's been moved. And he's had encounters with sharks in those spots.
Yeah. The one, I went up to Melbourne Beach here, and it was a very low tide. And the water was only like knee deep, out quite a ways. And then there was a trough. And the trough was maybe up to my chest here. See, and geez, I jump in that trough. And I'm just, I wasn't finding anything, but I was going to. I mean, there's no question in my mind, see. And out of the corner, I got these big headphones on. And out of the corner of my eyes, I seen this lady, and she's jumping and waving her arms like that. So I take the headphones off, and she hollers, shark. I looked around. They had emptied the whole beach. The only guy is the old fart out there with metal detectors. And the shark was right behind me. And his tail was out of the water. The tail was kind of flopping like that. I mean, when I say right behind me, it's 5-6 feet, see. And I think what happened, I think they were attracted to the signature of the detector.
Oh, of the pulsing.
Yeah, I just jumped out. And the other one, I was down at Ponce de Leon, and I think it was Ponce, or one of those places, and it found a ridge, and so it's just a big pool of water. and then you got to go kind of up a hill. I jumped in there, and while I was in there, I thought I saw something big, but I wasn't sure. And I got done. I walked out, and this lady jumped in to go swimming, and the shark bit her.
Oh, a bitter.
Yeah. So apparently they don't like 70 or 80-year-old legs.
Well, when you saw the shark, did you find Jesus then?
Boy, I found him a lot of times.
You walked on water getting out of there, didn't you?
When he saw the shark, Doug, he added to the volume of liquid in the ocean.
I've had a lot of those. The good Lord looks after little kids in pools.
Yeah.
That puts me.
It's very cool. One of the other things I saw, Doug, again, going back to the tips of hunting a beach, is where he said he'll look and let's say low tide is at 9:00 a.m. He'll get out about 3 hours early, and he'll start at the high tide line and follow it out. Like instead of walking parallel to the ocean, he walks perpendicular with it, detecting as it's pulling sand out, bringing sand in, which has got to be difficult because every time you dig, the ocean's filling it right back up again. It's a constant battle. But there must be a good reason for it.
I leave there. I got a good scoop. I got one of these extreme scoops. But as the waves go out, it's dropping sand. There's a spot down south of me, and there's a branch about mid-beach. And I haven't seen it for a year or two, but it looked like an elbow. And when I went down there, if I seen that branch, it was good, see? But as the tide is going out, it's dropping sand. See, so if you followed out, at low tide, then that branch was sticking out. It could look like a big elbow. At the low tide, it was gone. It was already covered.
Wow.
So by following it out, I'm getting to stuff lower than it'll be at low tide. And that's what I do. But you get beat up, you get the waves.
It looks, I saw some videos. It looks like you'd have a hard time even staying upright, let alone trying to dig a hole, not lose your bearings. And there's some work involved in that, Doug. But
the machine that you're using, I've noticed it looks to be old. That Mind Lab, that's your favorite machine. That's got to be heavy, right?
I'm actually now the detector I've been using is a DS2 or the Legend.
Yeah, that's nice and light. Oh, you use the Legend. I use the Legend.
I tell you, the Legend is a heck of a detector. I'm very impressed with that. It's, anybody that talks to me, I'll tell them, to consider the Legend. I mean, I really like the DS2. It's light, and I don't use a big coil. I use a small. I've had 3 surgeries on this arm, 2 in this arm, and it just, I can't even lift my arms up. But down here, I'm fine, swinging.
Yeah. Well, we just sold 300 new Legends, Jason.
Well, hey, he uses what's good. I bet, and with that Deus, I bet your sand scoop weighs twice as much as the detector you're swinging.
Probably.
No, the sand scoop I got is very light. It's
is it?
Extreme scoop. The guy gave it to me to try out, and I got, by kind of promoting, I got it for free.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, free is a good thing. When you get to be my age, free is wonderful.
Hey, at every age, free is good. So now, out of all the things you found, I mean, hundreds of coins and all through the centuries, did you find any really exceptional relics that stand out in your mind? Things that maybe came off of these ships? I know there was one story in particular, I'll let you tell it, where you had found 2 rings on the same day, and the one you thought was going to be the best one turned out to not be, because the other one, which was more plain, turned out to be a lot more historic. I'm just trying to refresh your memory.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, I told my wife, I said I was going to find a ring from the 1715 fleet. That was my goal for the day. And I got this ring first. It's just a plain band, and I stuck it in my pocket. No big deal. It's gold, but no big deal.
No big deal.
Yeah. And I got this ornate one. I don't know if I have it. It's a little tiny, very ornate ring. 1715, no question in my mind. See, I'm so excited. I called my wife. I said, I got a ring from the 17 fleet. See, and I brought it home. I looked at that ornate ring, and it said 14 karat. That's the first time I ever found a 14 karat ring. I got disappointed on it. It's 18 karat gold, and it's dated either 1604 or 1654. It's a Posy ring, and inside it says, "Godly love will not remove." And it's an Irish saying. And I took a picture of the inside. It's got a maker's mark. And I sent pictures over to two different groups in England, and the one said it was 1604, and the other one said 1654. So it's a 1600 ring, 18 karat gold. So that's
wow.
kind of,
That's amazing, Doug, because you find the one with the diamonds and you're thinking, man, this is amazing. And the plain band, where it turns out to be, much older. And those Posy rings, a Posy ring, for people don't know, are basically a gold ring that would have a religious sentence or inspirational words on the inside. They're very, very old. And often they're a weird carat of gold too, Doug, like maybe 20 carat, 21. Yeah, like they're weird. Now, if his is 18 carat, at least traditional there, but I've never found one. And those are real top shelf finds for any detectorist.
Now, Terry, do you ever sit there and in amazement that people wear all this fancy, expensive jewelry into the ocean so that you can find it later?
I had a friend call me up, and he said, you ought to try this spot just north of where I live here. He said, I was in there yesterday, dug a hole. It was a bowl, washed out. And he said, I'm going up to Cocoa Beach. He said, you ought to give it a try. I pulled out 5 gold rings out of there. And one was a 2 karat diamond ring. 2 karat diamond ring, another a big wide bayonet. And I mean, who wears a 2 karat diamond ring to the beach?
Exactly.
At the one ring of my excuse me while I pull this one out. This one here.
Unbelievable.
That's real?
It's 7 karat emerald. It's in platinum with 16 diamonds around it. The bottom of the band is 14K, but it's the ring itself is in platinum, and I had it appraised at $11,000, and that was years ago. And that was a funny ring because I'm walking, I don't walk unless I detect swinging,
Yeah.
And I'm walking, finding nothing, and so I decided to quit. And I'm working my way to the car. It's quite a hike back to my car, and I got the one signal, and I scooped it up, and the thing just goes rolling. And I picked it up. I looked at it. I figured that can't be real, and it was that emerald ring.
That's amazing.
People said, "Well, who wears that kind of stuff to the beach?" There's people out there that's just junk for them. I mean,
they don't care. They got money, and
I'll tell you another story. I got an 8 real. It's sitting right over here, like this here one day. Jerry and I were on. Do you mind if I tell the story?
No, absolutely. This is all you.
Jerry and I really got into this stuff. We were digging sinkers like mad. When you find these white sinkers, stay there. Don't leave. That's why you should dig pennies. People say, I'm not going to dig the pennies. Well, the white sinkers and the pennies read the same on my detector. See, and when you find a sinker, stay there. And we just dug like mad. See, well, Jerry had to work the next day, so I go back. I'm the only one on the beach. There's nobody else out there. And I pull up this 8 real. And I was digging down. It was way down there, and it must have fallen out of the wall. I must have missed it a bit because I could see it laying there. So I got down on my knees and picked it up. And it's an 8 real. I mean, that's a real find, And nobody around, and except this old lady was sitting in front of her house in this chair. See, so I walk over, and I walk up to her, and I said, "Look what I just found." I said, "This is an 8 real from the."
Just a stranger. You're just telling a stranger.
Yeah.
You had to tell somebody.
Yeah, and I said, for an old guy like me, it's better than sex. And she said, in my case, it's chocolate. And I'm just sick. I wish I'd have thought to take her a box of chocolate.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, here's a neat ring here. This one predates the 1715 fleet. It's gold, but it doesn't look like it's a very low carat gold.
Okay. I see some decoration on the outside.
Yeah, it's got the old. I have trouble holding the old onion blossom design.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Little flowers, see. And I took it down to Steve Hodges, and he has some extras that come in, and he said it predates the 1715 fleet. I got that one out in the water. The tide had went way out. The reefs were exposed, and I was on the reef, standing on the reef.
Oh.
It was, and it was an area where I was legal being out there. And just so many targets that I was just digging the low ones, looking for the gold. And I got a couple gold rings in that one there, too. It was just, and Jerry
I got the impression that, from reading the book, that you hunt a lot of times with your threshold on, and you're more listening for the threshold than listening for beeps. For the people out there that detect and don't use threshold, can you explain to them how that part of their detector works? Because you really have incredible success using that function that a lot of newer detectorists won't even turn on.
Yeah, the threshold, especially on the old Mine Lab Sovereign, I turned that threshold up. And as I'm going along, and when I started out, I had a terrible swing. I mean, my swing went like this. It's only a banana swing.
I noticed that. Banana swing, right?
Yeah, the banana swing. That's me. People would recognize me waiting on the beach. That's Shannon down there. You can see the old detector.
Looks like you're sword fighting.
Yeah, but I'd have the threshold up, and when that, and it was if you run your scoop up against it, it would be a high tone as I'm going along, and if that tone changed, or if the tone changed, stopped, and I would search around that area, and it's unbelievable the amount of stuff that I would have missed had it not been from that threshold. Another thing I do, and it probably isn't wise, but I turn my volume way up too, because I'm looking for the chirps.
Okay.
The little chirps and that stuff. And if you got a target, you're getting a chirp and so deep you can't get a reading on it. Go fast. And that when you go back, it seems to increase it, and you can hear it more. And I dig those. In the beach, you should dig everything. And these. This kind of interesting. Here's a jar full of bronze ship spikes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And these go way back. They used to the worm out there called a Torito worm, and they'd eat the bottom of the ships. These ships had a very short life, because of these worms. So they lined the bottom of the ships with lead, and they used those nails to get it. And I got into an area, and I think it was over 3 days. I pulled 141 of them ship nails out of one spot.
Wow.
And what's unusual now is I was using, at that time, I had the 800, Mine Lab 800, the Equinox.
Yeah.
And I had the smaller coil. And a buddy of mine come down, and he had the big 15-inch coil. He never found a one. And I
really?
And
too much stuff under the coil, I guess.
It was in the black sand. See, that black sand is highly mineralized.
Yeah.
And when you've got to have a multi-frequency detector. But anyway, that coil, I think the mineralization was overwhelming the coil.
Yeah.
And I had another friend come down, and he did find two, but he had the big coil. And, I'm just, and the reading on those things are bronze. You think it read real high. They read 7.
Wow, that low.
That low. I mean, it just everybody would ignore that stuff.
Yeah, we would notch that out normally.
Some people do notch it out. Well, the beach is a different mindset.
Different animal. Yeah.
Well, it's the stuff washes in, and it you can have a really $3,000 gold ring with a nail sitting on it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I see guys standing there. I've seen them stand there, and they're going over this spot. They're running the detector, looking at the numbers. Then they get 90 degrees, and they go like looking at the numbers. My thought is, why don't you just scoop it up and look at it?
Yeah, you could have found it and moved on.
It just. So I tell everybody, dig everything. It just and don't skip the petty signals, because that's a clue. When you start getting into them lead sinkers, you're going to get gold.
Right. Wow. Now
you got a good chance of getting gold, I should say.
I know you had a buddy, and forgive me, I forget his name, that found like 4 or 5 gold coins that you said were valued at like over $500,000 or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got 4 escudos, and I was with him at that same spot. Probably the week.
The day he found them, you were there?
No.
Oh,
I was back in Minnesota. And
okay.
I'm out in a park detecting, and he calls me up, and he said, I just found an escudo. I said, you're kidding me. I wasn't quite that polite, but but that's my bucket list. I haven't got that escudo yet. See? I got 1 gold coin, but it wasn't a Cabo escudo. And it wasn't 5 minutes later, he said, I called back. He said, I got 2 more. They're stuck together. 2 8 escudos stuck together. Then he texted me on the 4th one, and he got maybe 7 or 8 young silver coins, the smaller ones, and a couple little Spanish artifacts. And so he called the buddy, the one that walked ahead of me and found it. He called him. And this guy brings a couple sandwiches. The tide was coming in. They sat there, ate the sandwich, and as the tide was going out, they didn't found a damn thing.
No, the ocean brought him in, and the ocean took him away.
Yep, just that quick. So the ocean changes twice a day, and the secret is keep moving, look down the beach, and if you look way down the beach, and if you see that the water's coming up farther on there, then that's where to head for. Don't detect your way down there. Run down there with your detector.
Oh, when it comes up higher, that's when there's a low spot further out, right?
Yeah, the low spot allows the water to go in farther.
Oh, okay.
They say the beach is flat like that, and then all of a sudden you got a dip in there that goes back into that thing. The water's going to go in there. So you just look for that water that goes up farther. That's the easiest way to do it. I've been gonna do it now since 2005, is to get one of these binoculars, one of these small ones, right?
Yeah, the binoculars. Yeah.
And it's in the job there. It's been.
Well, you know, you got to do, Terry, is instead of driving down the beach, get a drone and just fly it down from your trailer, and then you can know right where to go without having to spend all that gas.
Yeah, any technology and me just do not get along.
Oh, you're not good friends with technology?
No, I used to fly airplanes, so I'm not an idiot, but I just
Yeah.
My
phone or my computer. recruit a young neighborhood kid. Tell him, hey, I'll give you an Indian penny. Fly this drone down the beach for me.
Yeah,
When I was
that would be, and they got them e-bikes now too. And I went on one of those trips. I got 5 feet, well, maybe about 7 feet before I tipped it the first time. I started out in the loose sand, down we went. But we got a lot of stuff,
when I was little, maybe 7 or 8. The only time I detected the beach, my dad and I went, and we got this signal, and we were digging and digging and digging, probably a 5-foot deep hole, and then it was just a big iron pipe. A big iron pipe underneath the beach. Yeah.
Well, how you heard it though?
That could have been a cannon.
It was really long and not as thick, I think, as a cannon as I would think.
They did have smaller ones.
Yeah.
It could have been a rifle barrel or something, Rich. You never know.
It was 30 years ago.
I got a rifle barrel this year out of one of the cellar holes.
Did you really? You got a rifle barrel?
Yeah.
Now, do you hunt outside of the beach much at all anymore? Like doing cellars, fields, houses, things like that?
In summertime, that's what I do. I detect all year round.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, because when I go back to Minnesota, I've got the trading post, the Red River Valley trading post I can go to. I used to be the sheriff up there. That's an elected position. I had to get elected every 4 years.
Okay.
And that's a tough job. I mean, you have to clean up your act in that 4th year.
You got to act sheriff like, right?
Yeah. You got to kiss babies and shake a lot of hands.
Oh, I ate a lot of church suppers, no question.
Yeah.
But people will call me and say, why don't you come out to my place? And I give a lot of talks. I enjoy doing that. I go to the retirement centers, and that's a good place to go in and take your stuff in and give a 45-minute talk. I mean, it's a wonderful thing you're doing because these old people, they don't have a lot of outside entertainment. You'd be amazed. He said, well, why don't you go out to our farm? You can't believe the amount of invites that I get by giving these talks.
Yeah.
Rotary. I did a lot of Rotary, and I give a lot of talks.
Now, when you're in Minnesota hunting throughout the summer, are you still salivating on getting back to the Treasure Coast?
Oh, the Treasure Coast I'm in love with the Treasure Coast. I'm so blessed,
Yeah.
Hey, Terry, could you tell us or tell the audience how when you first parked your trailer at the beach, how you would go out in the morning where everybody was coffee clatching, and having their coffee and kibitzing, and you'd go out with your metal detector and find something. And of course, they all got interested when you were showing what you found on the beach. So elaborate, please.
Yeah, they were laughing at me. We were parked right on the beach. We stepped out of our
trail
floor, and the steps to going down to the beach are right there. See, and all these old guys down there having coffee. See, and here's Terry getting his gear ready, all excited. See. And a lot of jokes and that stuff. And all of a sudden, they started seeing me coming back with this stuff, see. And then it just changed. What did you get today? Then actually on the beach side, there was like about a dozen campers. Everybody was involved in it. And then the gals kind of got together. And they told my wife that they said, they have interventions for alcoholics and drug addicts. We didn't have one for Terry.
None for metal detectors.
Yeah, see. And so they planned this intervention for Terry, see. And I come back and I found 2 gold rings that day, and they called off the intervention, put in their orders for
How many of those guys are now hunting with you?
one of the cops that didn't want to take my case bought a detector. And
there you go.
I think I've sold a lot of detectors over the years. I really, really have.
And you know what, Doug? As hard as Terry works, I will say he must have a little bit of luck on his side too, because I heard a story that him and his wife went to a Walmart one day, and as Terry was pulling in, he noticed something on the ground in his car, and his wife jumped out and grabbed it. Do you know what I'm talking about, Terry?
Yes, and that happened to me twice. I found gold rings laying, on the ground, and we pulled. We were coming down to Florida, and we had our big truck, and it was a pull behind camper, and so we had to park way out on the edge. And I got into the darn, we went in, bought our groceries, got back in. I got in the truck, and I could see this shiny thing up. So I shut the truck off, run up, and it was a gold bracelet, and it's really a beautiful bracelet. And then up in the Freeze area, we have to drive to Detroit Lakes where there's a Walmart. It's 10 miles away. As I was pulling in, I could see this gold thing over there, and I backed up and went into it, see, and that was an 18-karat gold bracelet. I went into both places and asked if anybody had reported. I'm not going to say I found a gold bracelet.
Sure.
Anybody reported it lost. And so I found 2 gold bracelets in the Walmart parking lot. So you got to shop Walmart.
Yeah, he's found more gold in the parking lot than we have in the ground.
Could you imagine what he'd find if he went to Nordstrom's?
I can't afford it, though.
That's pretty crazy, though, Doug. He finds more gold in the Walmart parking lot than we find all year in the ground.
You know what it is? I'm looking all the time.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
He's like a hawk looking for dinner,
It must be. Now, Terry, you had said something. I heard a story you told. I forget if it was a video or in your book, but there was something on the ship that they would drop in to try to measure how deep a water that they're in. And that piece, riverboat captains started using it. And you told a really good story about that. He must be getting one. I want him to tell the story because I don't want to butcher it.
Here it is right here. And it's a sounding weight. And you see it's hollow at the bottom. And what they did is they put tallow in there. And they would throw this out in front of the ship. And when it come up, they'd look at the bottom. It had sand on it. There was a sandy bottom. It was clean. It was a rocky bottom, shell,
Gotcha.
But, and this is a small one. But they used, so many fathoms. Mm-hmm. Well, they use these things in Mississippi. And one of the riverboats captains, they used a different terminology. He was throwing out and said, rather than 5 fathoms, they say by the Mark Twain.
Twain.
If Twain was either 5 or 7, see. And the captain of the boat took that name, and that's where Mark Twain got his name. You can look that up on the internet.
I remember that story. You're absolutely right.
I actually looked it up to make sure Terry wasn't telling a tall tale, and he's 100% right.
Yeah, he worked on one of those paddle wheel boats.
Yeah, that's where he got his name from. Twain. And this is the only one I know that's ever been found on the beach. They just don't move. I mean, these things are heavy.
Yeah. Did you know what it was when you found it? Or did someone have to tell you?
I knew right away. It was very impressive. I cleaned it up, quite a bit because most of the time they have the name of the ship on it or some sign.
Oh, does yours have a name of a ship?
No, it don't. Oh. In fact, it's not done. You can see it doesn't have the hole here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every ship used a whole bunch of them because they break them and lose them and stuff like that. So I imagine this one was part of them that they had extra. They hadn't drilled a hole in it or something. But it's got beat up because this is the way it looks on the bottom, but that's where the tallow went. And,
Gotcha.
I've gotten to be kind of, I know when I'm, people will bring stuff to me and ask me to identify it. And a lot of times I know what it is,
Sure, yeah. Like you said, it comes from experience. And I know over the years, you've probably become friends with a lot of the archaeologists in the area, historical societies.
I got to show you this now. Yeah, we walked right into it. I got to be friends with the archaeologists down here. Well, when I first come down, I went to a talk on 1715 fleet. And at that time, I had found a couple of things I thought might be from 1715. So I went up to the archaeologist and said, I got some of this stuff. Would you mind looking at it? And he stopped at the house, and it was. And anyway, we got to be friends. They invited me along on an archaeologist dig. And this here is a gold pendant. And what was nice, the archaeologist was with me. He called me up and he said, I got a friend coming down. Will you take us detecting? And his friend took off. Just, and we're waiting for him. I'm bored. I'm right by the steps that go onto the beach, and I'm going really slow. And I dig this thing up. This is a gold pendant, and it's a solid gold from the either Aztec or the Inca or Maya Indians.
Wow.
And I showed this to Carl Fismore and several other people, and they said these are notoriously low carat. See, the Spaniards realized that the Indians realized that the Spaniards were taking advantage of it and started watering their gold out. So
diluting it.
Yeah, this is pure gold, 15 or 22 carat. Was 21 and some carat gold. So they figured this comes back to the 1500s.
Wow. They were able to date it because of the purity, knowing that as it got later, they watered the gold down. So if you find a high carat, that must be an old original piece.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
If I can expand on this story, this coin here. Okay.
Yes.
I say it.
Yes. That archaeology dig with these it was 3 days. It was on an Indian thing, and when we got done, the one archaeologist says, "Terry, I'm going to take you down the coast, and I'm going to show you where we found different Spanish artifacts and treasure that nobody really knows about." So he did that. The next day, we get in my pickup. And I write down the mileage, and we went down, and he'd show me this, and he'd show me that spot. We found gold coins here. We got a bunch of silver there. And I got all those miles. I still got that list. And we got all done. By the time I got done, I was so excited I wanted to get out on the beach right now. I mean, there's treasure out there. I wanted to get there. And he said, let's stop at my place for a beer. I don't drink beer. I don't like beer. I like whiskey and gin, and all this, but beer I don't like. But I didn't want to offend the guy.
Right.
So I stopped for a beer. He'd been so nice to me. And he brought that coin out and he gave it to me. And
an archaeologist gave it to you.
He gave it to me. And the story on it is that this coin was on Captain Morgan's ship. And they the Spanish chased Morgan into the Bay of Madagascar and had him cornered. So he scuttled the ship and escaped overland, burnt the ship down. Well, it was in the bay, so the Spanish salvaged the treasure. They took it overland and put on a ship called the Marvalis. And that was in 1654. And the Marvalis went over the reef to join the convoy and ran into another ship and was sinking. So he turned around, come back over the reef, and it sank again. So this coin has been
lost twice.
Yeah, and he wrote the certificate of authenticity. I mean, after his whole career, years of detecting, never find a coin like that. And he gave it to me.
And it had the provenance behind it.
Musket balls and he gave me a whole bunch of stuff, some stuff from over in Europe and that.
Now,
you must have made quite an impression on him to give you that. That's a really special piece to have the provenance of being lost from two famous ships.
Well, see, I can't put on airs because I can't pull it off. I'm just not that smooth. They're cool, and so I don't try to impress anybody. But these guys, I really wanted to be friends with. See.
Sure.
And we at that time we were on the beach, and they decided to have a party with a Western theme. Now, me being an extremely intelligent individual, decided to go as a brokeback cowboy. So I got this pink purse, pink scarf, and big dangly earrings, shorts and cowboy boots. And I'm drinking a little bit, and I was flitting around the limp wrist, and I turned around, there stand both archaeologists. Great impression.
Well, that's a good icebreaker, though, Doug.
Yeah.
Good icebreaker. That's how I met Doug, Charlie.
Yeah.
Same story.
The cabaret.
There was another cool one. We touched on the sharks earlier. I heard him telling stories before about some of the run-ins he's had with snakes, too. He's had some crazy snake run-ins.
Yeah.
Can you give me one or two of your funny snake run-in stories?
Yeah, I was going down the beach, and this lady was there, and she was all upset. There was a sea turtle. It wasn't a real big one, maybe about that big around, but wrapped in fishing line. So I said, if you carry my detector, I'll carry the turtle. See, so we go down to, it was Bonsteel is where we went. And I had a phone, so I called, and I had the number for the fish and wildlife people. So they come down and they pick up the turtle. Okay. Now, my thoughts were, I've done a good deed. So the good Lord
they owe you something.
So there was a dune there. You're not supposed to hunt in the dunes, and it was a straight bank, see. But I figured, I got one due, see. So I go back there, and I'm going on the edge, and way up high there was a branch sticking out. and my arms are bad, so I kind of had to shove it up there and to get there. And the snake come down, and he didn't fall straight down. He was coming down the bank like this, just swirling down. See, and he landed right by my feet, but my feet weren't there anymore. Little guy, I could move.
Snakes scared the bejesus. Rich loves snakes, but snakes scare me, man. I don't know what it is.
They startle you. You know, there's several places going down the coast where I'll go through the woods to get to the check the beach. You know, there's real faint trails there, and I run into a lot of them. And there was one time where this fellow took me. We're supposed to be at an old camp, and he had found some amazing artifacts. See, but it was just all brushed over. So I got down on my belly, you know, I'm all excited, swinging my detector really slow, and this damn snake come right over the top of my detector.
While your face is almost on the ground.
Exactly, and of course I'm from Minnesota. I know garter snakes, but that's where it ends. You know?
Yeah,
and you know,
down south they have fangs.
Yeah, I mean, down south you got water moccasins, and you got some pretty
copperheads, rattlesnakes.
Yeah, I run into one rattlesnake and another water moccasin. I didn't know what the water moccasin was. I was taking pictures of it. The game warden told me what it was, but
yeah.
Well, that's pretty amazing. Charlie, I didn't know if you, Richard, you told me you had a couple questions. I don't want to have Terry here all night. If you want to get some of yours in too, and if anybody in the chat has questions for Terry. You don't always have a lot of opportunity to talk with him live, so feel free to put them in the chat, and we will keep an eye out for them.
Is there a particular time of year that's better to go to the beach to find old stuff?
Yes, there is. I have been much more successful after the first of the year. See, in the wintertime, you've got the waves coming in all the time, and the sand is building up. You know, now we're in the winter season. We're going to get any storms that start to wash it away. After the first of the year is when I've done my best. You know, January and February, March.
Because everybody wants to go when it's warm out, but that's usually like for us. The farm fields are open in the winter, so we're just cold when we go out and dig.
Yeah, when I first started, you know, I was in a t-shirt. You know, and just amazed at these people out there in swimsuits. You know, now I'm wearing the sweatsuit. My blood is sent out. You know, but it's later in the year, after the first of the year. It is. And if you're going to come down, like I said, check the for the moon.
Yeah.
Now, but you go every day or almost every day,
almost every day,
storm or anything, and just just enjoy the day.
Yeah, and my wife said that one year we were down here, I missed one day in the whole season we were down here. Wow. I tell everybody she can be a real butt at Christmas. It just I've been married to that lady for 65 years.
God bless you, 65 years. Yeah. Charlie, how long have you been married to Judy?
57.
57 years?
57 years.
Wow. Congratulations, buddy.
The same woman, yep.
Yeah, it's a rarity nowadays. It's a rarity.
I will get these guys down with me. There's a beach near where I have my beach house called Coin Beach. And they do find coins at Coin Beach. And I've learned a lot tonight from you. And I'm going to get these guys to come down for a couple days and hit that beach.
Yes, Charlie, that Coin Beach is pretty famous. Do you know, was there a shipwreck or something that accounts for all these old coins?
There was a shipwreck.
Oh, there was. Okay.
And they've actually
heard the name of the shipwreck too.
I think it was the Barak, B-A-R-A-K, the Barak.
I'm not sure, but I'm going to research that beach more now since I'd like to try it.
Yeah, I mean, with some of his knowledge, rather than going willy-nilly, maybe if we plan after a storm on a full moon, if the stars align like that, look for the cuts or look for the bowls or the low areas instead of just walking it. Now maybe our odds increased based on Terry's experience. Oh, Team Lynch. Thank you. Team Lynch, good friend of ours, detectors up here on the beaches of New Jersey, Terry, enjoying the show and left a little donation. Thank you, guys.
We can do it in the cold, like he said, beginning of the year, with the big waves and nobody's there. That would be the time to go. This coming new year, if you guys are willing to come down for a day or two.
Well, I would love to try the beaches. Like I said, I was always reluctant because, like I said, it's like In my mind, it was like
overwhelming.
out to the desert, and it's just like, where do you go? Where do you begin? I didn't, when we go to an old house, I know what to look for. I look for trees. I look for hills. I look, my brain knows where to begin. But on the beach, it's so overwhelming. And that's why it was so nice to read his book, because if you know what to look for, you really do hedge your better chances of success.
Well, you're being very kind,
Well,
if you have to choose between skill and luck, take the luck. See, and that's what I did.
Well, I'd like a little bit of both. I'd like a little bit of both.
Hey, Terry, could I ask a question? 4 of us were able to find cobs at this farm field this past winter. Jason's and mine both had a date on them, but only 2 numbers. So we assumed that those 2 numbers were the second part of 1600. Is that accurate, or could it have been older?
No, that's accurate. Well, I shouldn't say it's accurate. That's more than likely, very likely. I've got a coin. I got one that says 64. It's 1664.
Yeah.
Jason's was 66 and mine was 79.
Okay, yeah, and then the 1715 normally have all 4. 17.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got very fortunate, Terry, where my one and only cob I've ever found, it was beautiful center struck when they hit it. Yeah. So I have the full detail with the date on both sides, sayer's name, everything. Mine was only, it was a 1 real, so it's not huge.
Mine was 2.
All the detail is there. And man, it might be my favorite thing I've ever found detecting, because it was so unexpected, my oldest thing ever. And man, I still remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah. Here's a 1 real that I got 2 years ago.
Yes.
And it's a nice coin. It's a 1 real. And I belong to a metal detecting club, and our club Christmas party was that night. And so I called my buddy. I said, I just picked up a 1 real. You might want to check that. He didn't belong to the club. He got 2 8 reals. But I just kept my mouth shut.
Those 8 reals are so impressive. We've never found a cob that big. Doug found an 8 real, a later one that was actually milled,
a Mexican 8 real, not a Spanish.
Right.
Mexican.
But it's such an impressive, massive weight. I can't imagine your buddy that found the escudos, which are essentially, I think they're 1 ounce of gold that were also struck. I mean, and the value on those monetarily is just through the roof.
Yeah, one of them had a clear date of 1715 on it, which makes that He found it. One of them sold at Sedgwick's auction, I think, for like 90,000 or 94,000, and then another one was from the Lima Mint, which is a rare mint. So the price of these, even the 8s now are just unreal. The Atosha ones are getting $3,000-$4,000 for a coin.
Wow.
If you can, if you have an 8 real, it does have a certain value, but if you can directly link it to a ship, it really amplifies the value of it, because now there's more provenance to it.
I'm real fortunate here. There's a guy, and a really squared away and a very honest man, that has a coin shop down here, and he will give me a certificate of authenticity.
Oh, he has that ability. That's great.
Yeah. It's Steve Hodges, and it's West Bay Trading is the name of his company.
Oh, now, Steve, I heard you mention him in the book or in the videos I saw that he cleans a lot of your coins also for you.
Yes, he does. Yeah, he cleans them all. And when I found this one here, the 1715, I found 2, or I mean the 1544, I found 2 of them. And the other one was really bad. It took him a year, but by golly, he was able to bring up the detail on it. So it's another, Carlos Nuana coin. And I trust the man totally. And, what I've done is when I find the coin, I've told him right where I found it, and I've actually taken him, and he and his wife, and showed him these spots. So.
Yeah, but like you said, what's a hot spot today? 12 hours later, now it's gone. The new hot spot might pop up somewhere else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you find an area, you keep checking that, because you get one, there's more than one there. It's just.
That's amazing. Now, I read this 1715 fleet, Doug. It's estimated they had between 8 million and 15 million pieces of silver and gold spread across these ships. So, when they sank, let's say they did salvage and got even 75% of it. That means there could still be over 1 million pieces of gold and silver sifting through the sand, slowly washing up on shore.
There's a little girl that Corinne's her name, and we detected together. She just got started when I come down here, and we kind of learned together and that. And she went on, she's a diver on one of the boats, and she found 210 reals this year.
Wow.
And I think she's the only one that got anything of any. But I mean, it was just luck. She just happened to be over that spot and got them, treasures there. And, I have yet to get that gold escudo. It's going to happen, but, well, at least I hope it's going to happen.
What's the one gold coin you did find?
It was a Mexican gold coin, and it was in a bezel.
Oh, okay. It was a piece of jewelry already.
Yeah. So
I got you.
It was in the river up in the Otter Tail.
What were you saying, Rich? I'm sorry.
Well, I've read that most of these ships and anything really, they usually had more treasure than what was registered because people were hiding it. A lot of different people. Yeah.
There's a guy that I've never met him, but I know the story, and it's referenced. He found a couple small cannons, and it was in a boat, and the cannons were so heavy he couldn't control the boat, so he threw them back in. And these are these small bronze cannons. Well, what made them heavy is I bet you they were packed with gold coins.
Oh, wow.
And it drives me. I drive by that spot and I keep looking out there. I figure there's a fortune in gold out there. There just has to be, I've got all these places that I've heard about, and I've reached the age of 83. I no longer dream about good-looking women. I dream of gold coins. And
Doug, there's a really funny story. Lynn, you'll appreciate this story. I'm going to tell it on Terry's behalf because I thought it was so funny. Where Terry was detected at the beach one night when they were doing a rocket launch because he's right near Cape Canaveral. And he said he had to take a leak. He had to go. But there were so many people there, he couldn't just, take a leak. So he waited for the rocket to take off so everyone's heads were up, and then he just did his business.
Perfect time. It's all in the time.
Because everyone's looking up and he's going down. I thought that was hilarious.
Did I put that in one of my books?
You might have. I mean, I heard the story, so I must have read it.
I saw it in the video.
It's true. I always figured I would.
Video.
And that's the time that is the time that I found this first Spanish.
Oh, that was the same day.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if it was the same day or the day after, but it was a time. But I had there was that storm right in front of the camper there. And I had a 5-gallon pail. I had it half full of lead sinkers. I'm finding all just digging steady. And it never occurred to me to run out in the water. It just didn't.
So he moved enough sand with his water.
Yeah. Well, everyone's
exposed the real.
Yeah, everyone's doing. Now, have you ever stepped on a fishing hook in your bare feet? I always worry about that.
Yeah, I'm every year I go into, because you get infection when you get a cut. And I'm going barefoot. I get infection. This year I got a new refrigerator. And I'm barefoot, and I opened up the refrigerator door, and it caught my toe. I got one toe that's really weird. Skinned it up. So I get this new skin. I got this antibiotic. I put it on. I missed 2 days of detecting for that toe. So I'm out the third day, and I got the scoop, and I dropped it and cut the toe on my other foot.
Oh.
So my wife used to work at a place in Detroit Lakes called Dynamic Homes, and she'd go to work, and one of the people would say, "What's Terry healing from today?" I'm one of these guys that gets hurt.
Injury prone.
Look at my hand, and my feet are the same.
Yeah. Rich, did you have any other questions? You told me you had a couple. I wanted to give you some time.
Well, a few of them were probably asked before I got here.
All right.
But I am really curious, even if you did already ask it. Did you learn about the 1715 fleet and then decide to try to go find some, or did you stumble upon some and then your research started?
No, I went on a vacation well before I started down here with my wife, and we stopped at the McClarty Museum. It's a state museum. It features all the things from the 1715. And I met the ranger. And, and I asked him if they were still finding these coins on the beach. That's the first I'd ever heard of it, was when I walked into that museum. And he went and got a scrapbook. And in the scrapbook, he had pictures of different people that had found stuff on the beach. And they take their picture and put it in the scrapbook. And that was my goal, to get into that scrapbook. And I'm in it. I'm in it several times. In fact, I've been the guest speaker at the museum several times too.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, have
Really
you noticed, Terry, that when you first started, hunting the beach and making these great finds, and your name recognition was getting out there? Now, fast forward to today, do you see that there's now a lot more people detectoring because of the information you're putting out? Like, was there less competition? I don't say competition, but were there less people doing it then compared to now?
Well, very, very much so. We had that storm last year, and I went right out in front, and I bet you there's 15 people detecting, right? And I was going away from the beaches. There's a lot more, but it isn't because of me. It's just that you got Calico and all these places that sell detectors, and it's just become a very popular hobby. But I'm sure that I've brought on a lot of people.
I'm sure you
people that I brought aboard, are detecting because of me, are now my friends, and I don't resent them one bit. I really don't. But it's an interesting thing. There's a gal here in the trailer park, and she was one of the directors of the movie Titanic. They had several directors, and she was also one of the directors on the movie The Last of the Mohicans. And she told me, she said, I'm writing a book, and I'm writing a new movie. And she says, can I use your name and character in the movie? And I said, definitely. I mean, it's wonderful, my ego. And she looked it up, and you can look it up on Google. But the name Shannon or O'Shannon, if you go way back in the Gaelic time, means skilled storyteller. And that's me. I talk all the time. I mean, if I was a county sheriff, there's a lot of people that could probably kick my butt in a fair fight, but there's none that could out-talk me.
Or out-detect you. There's a question in the chat from our friend Jessica Buck. She wanted to know that, being that you go out and detect every day, how often are you having success finding maybe something historical, whether a coin or historical relic, artifact? Are you finding one a day, one a week? Is it once a month?
Probably once a month or so. If I go through the year and I get 5 or 6 really historic things, I think I've had a good year.
I believe it. I believe it.
Way back in the day, they used to find all kinds of stuff, but they're replenishing the beach. They're hauling the sand in, and it's a crime what they're doing. I mean,
they're covering up everything.
And they're covering up everything. So now what you have to do is wait for the storms to wash it out. And when it washes out, it's covering the reefs, and it killed the reefs. Like there's 3 reefs down there, and the Spanish ship sank when the ship hit the reef, it took off the bottom. And on the bottom of these ships were ballast stones. And I don't have any ballast stone right here now, but I was going to show you something. But anyway, these things dropped down. Well, the treasure was there too. And then the ship kept going. It may go 5, 6, 7 miles down the beach, So and it's dropping stuff the whole way, So, there's just a lot more stuff found then than it's being found now. And it's a shame because this is a big industry. The metal detecting, it's a tourist draw. The salvage people and all that, and they're killing it. So it's just wrong.
Yeah, that part's got to be tough. They do it up here too a lot. They bring in sand. We had a buddy up here that they were dredging the ocean and throwing the sand up on the beach, and our buddy was detecting those dredged tailings that they were throwing up. And Doug, what did he find? Like 58 reals?
He got over 200 Spanish coins, most of which were 8 reals. But he did get a number of gold escudos.
Did he really?
And that was just him. He's got a couple friends that would go out with him, and they likewise have gotten hundreds together.
When they pipe it in from down here, they dump it into a screen first. So
they do now.
Anything smaller will go through it, but the H one.
Right. They do that now.
Yeah, at the time they weren't doing it, but because of him and the knowledge got out, now they do screen it all. But because he found them all on the beach that the week before was who knows how deep out in the was it the bay or the ocean, Doug?
No, they were dredging. They were dredging the inlet, pumping all the sand up on the beach. And that's where he was, right up on the beach. He may have gone into the water a little bit, but for the most part, it was right on the beach.
Yeah,
Very-
like you said, it's sometimes the timing, whether you're waiting for the storm, waiting for the moon, or waiting for them to dredge that sand up. Sometimes the timing is just so crucial to be in the right place at the right time.
And his were all milled. I think they all had a 1759 stamp on them.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be very happy with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would all be happy with them.
Yeah.
Let me see. I wouldn't see if there's any other questions in here. Oh, someone asked if you ever found pieces of the space shuttle disaster. That happened right there. I mean, it probably blew things all over.
Excuse me for just a second.
Go ahead. Uh-oh. I think he did, Doug.
Yeah.
I think he did.
This is what we call space poop. That's
wow.
that melts off the shuttles. And this was normally full, but every kid that comes here leaves with some space poop.
What material is that made out of?
It's titanium, I think.
Oh, it's titanium.
Yeah, I've had a couple people send it in to get it analyzed, and they never got back to me, so I haven't got it. And this is a prehistoric ghost crab.
Okay, yeah. I do see
Anywhere from
That looks familiar.
70 to 130,000 years old. And
Wow.
from here, well, actually about 5 miles, not about 2 miles north, and then all the way up to Patrick's, these died in their burrow or something like that, and they all, they're being washed ashore now. And I pick up a lot of these ghost crabs. And the big thing down here is also the sea glass. Everybody's looking for sea glass and that stuff.
Oh yeah. People do find that sea glass. I'm sure those shipwrecks had broken bottles and things like that now would be smoothed out little pieces. Lynn, you'd love that old black glass and everything.
Oh, the black glass. Yeah. Yep.
Let me see. There's another question here, but I'll wait for Terry to come back. Terry, how about any cannonballs? You ever find a cannonball?
I have not. I went out to North Dakota with a buddy of mine, and I'm talking to him on the phone on the way out, and he dug up a cannonball.
Really?
On Indian war sites. And I've been out there 2 years now, and I've got a ton of bullets. Over 200 bullets each time I've gone out there, for the wars and that. But this sea glass here, these are off the ship.
Oh, that looks so thick.
That's the black glass.
Yeah, that's the black glass. You can these, if you hold it up to the light, you can see through barely. But this is shipwreck glass.
Yeah.
And you're just eyeballing that, walking up and down the beaches.
Exactly. Yeah.
There was somebody in the chat, Andrew's Adventures, said to ask you about your book on cop stories that apparently, I guess you were under NDA, but maybe now you're not. Is that another book coming out of yours?
It's out. It's and this I'm proud of this book. This is I started out as a cop in Moorhead. I got mad at my wife and I had foster children. We over the 12-year period we had 66 foster kids that lived with us, and these kids were delinquent, and they stayed with us for a year and a half, and we're still in contact with a lot of them. And anyway, the sheriff made some comment, and I got mad and said, "I'm going to run against you and take your job," and I did. And so I was the sheriff, and it was a very active county, And then when I retired, I bought a fly-in fishing resort up in northern Ontario, and I flew float planes up there. And in fact, I hold the record for crashes. I got 2 back-to-back, 2 flights, 2 crashes. And
maybe you should hang up that license, Terry.
Yeah, the name of his airline was Plummet.
Well, the first one, I come in and I landed the plane, and they go real fast, see? And then they come off the step like that, and one float broke, the strut broke, and it dipped down, the wing went in, and a cartwheel. So then I ended up, and I was stuck in the plane. I went down, I had to end my belt, I couldn't get it loose, I had to cut that. And so I ended up going back home, and it was funny because I bought a little PA-12, it's an older plane with a stick, and it's light. I'm out on the lake, and I didn't get checked out. I should have. And I took it up, and I'm going to put it into stalls, and it just exploded. The oil line ruptured, and it was spraying against the manifold. And I shut it off, and of course you can't see nothing. It's all covered with oil, so I had the wind with my head out and my arms thing. And I've got it down on the water, opened the door and went right out in the lake. It was so full of oil that I couldn't, So I'm treading water out there on the float in the speedboat because of any hooks onto me, pulls me over to where my car was. And so I drive home, and I'm soaking wet. I walked in the house, and my sister-in-law was there with my wife. And my wife said, "What happened?" I said, "I just put another plane down." And my sister-in-law looked at me, and she was just dead serious. She said, "Terry, if you're going to keep flying, it's lucky you're such a good swimmer." But this book I'm really proud of. It's Unpredictable Justice, and it's about my cop stories.
That's awesome.
And
that's available on your website, I guess, and on Amazon.
Yeah, my website is just terryshannon.com.
Yes, I have a link in the description of here, and his website has all his books with links to the books too. So it's a one-stop shop if you want to go through his whole library of what do you have, like 7 books you've written, 6, 7 books?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I said, people can't out-talk me, but thank you for doing all that. I really appreciate that.
Oh, no, I think it's fascinating. I mean, your stories are the best part. We all find treasure, but I love the person behind the treasure, the story of how you got it. That's the real magic, more so than just a thing in your hand.
Yeah, some of them stories are true too, Jason.
I believe it. Even 1 out of 5 is good for me. 1 out of 5. There was somebody in the chat, I think they live in Florida. They wanted to know what the name of your club was if they wanted to join.
It's TCAS, Treasure Coast Archaeologist Society.
TCAS.
Right. And if they contact me, I have my website, and on the website, I think it's got my email in there. You can send me an email. I'll give you all the directions.
Okay, yes.
The email is just tshannon@arvig.net. Arvig is ARVIG.net.
So, yeah, if you can put his email up there. Can you say that one more time, Terry? I'm sorry.
Just T Shannon, lowercase, at Arvig, ARVIG.net.
All right. If Alicia can put that in there. If not, there is a link to it in the description of the video. Go check it out. You can go right to his website. I'm sure it has a contact me page. Whoops. And it has links, like I said, to all his books and everything like that. Everything you'll need to do. What a nice, slender young man in that picture. Who's the model you got for that, Terry?
I've had several people ask me who that was. Things have kind of slipped a bit since then.
Let me say, there were some questions and they went by.
Let's see. Flipping Plugs wants to know what your strangest find ever is.
Oh, there you go, Terry. Strange find.
The strangest find I ever had is at the old trading post. And I sat down, I was digging, and I got this little scoop, like a knife type things,
Oh, a spade.
Spade, yeah. And I'm digging up some real neat stuff, but I'm getting a real big, good signal underneath there, and so it's deeper. So I go up to the farmer and I said, "God," I said, "I'm getting a tremendous signal. It's deep," and I'm thinking back then they didn't have banks, they had to, bury all that stuff. And I'm getting such a good something big down there. So I told the farmer, I said, "I need a shovel. I'm out in the field." He doesn't care what I dug, see. So he gives me a shovel. He said, "I get half of his gold." I said, "Fair enough." So out I go. And I dig down and I get the wood metal rim from a wooden barrel. And the wood is gone, of course. And I get a little deeper and I get the next rim and then I get the last rim. And the barrel was laying right on the legs of a guy that was, it was a grave.
Oh, God.
Wow.
That's a strange find.
The feet were out there, but the rubber soles for the shoes were there, but the leather was gone. And I covered it up right away. And I'm just not digging into a grave. I often wondered, they say in the old days that they covered, when a guy died, they put coins in their eyes,
Yeah, silver dollars.
Yeah, I don't know if they're silver, but, I thought I should have went up and looked, but I just couldn't do that.
We had not quite that bad, but we were hunting a house once, and we always asked the homeowner, "Did you ever bury any pets?" And they would tell you. That way we'd stay away from that area. Well, we asked this couple and they said, "No, we never buried any pets." So, okay, around the house we go. So Doug has a good signal, digs down about 5 inches, and he pulls up this plastic bag and you can see stuff in it. And he thought he found buried treasure. So we walk over. Now in the bag is like a little metal placard. So he sees the metal placard and it says like whatever, Fido. And we're like, uh-oh. So as he's holding up this bag of the dead dog, the wife comes around the corner. She's like, Oh my God, put that back. So that was a tough one. And luckily the husband didn't see, because he said he would have been devastated. Not that it was our fault, but it was still an uncomfortable.
Yeah, they said no. You asked.
And it was right up near the house. Normally you bury the pets further away from the house, and
yeah, they must have just
right out the back door. So
yeah, so we've all been there. We've all been there. Rich, did you see anything else? He's been on an hour and a half. I don't want to keep him all night, so I'll see if we can get these taken care of. Rich is looking. It's hard for me to scroll through the questions.
Terry, do any of your Spanish coins have a mint mark on them?
It's not a mint mark. Like on this coin here, I don't know. Okay, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it.
Over the other way, that's it.
And anyway, on one side it's got an M.
Yes.
It was marked.
That's in Mexico City.
Yeah. And on the other side is I'm getting screwed up on here. But the other side is a G. And that's for the assayer. And his name is Gunnerwitz, and he worked from 1544 to 1548. So
Jason's and mine has a P on it, and we assumed that was Bolivia or
Polita.
Yeah.
I heard. I got this one is from the Potosi Mint.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. Potosi.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a mint way up in the mountains, and I had read that not only would they, excavate the silver there and strike it, but then it had to go on muleback, like 200 miles down the mountain, load them on Spanish galleons, then sail around the east coast of America at Panama before the canal. They'd have to unload the galleons, cart them to the east coast side, reload them on the galleons, and then sail up the coast and over the Atlantic. All along the way, dealing with looters and pirates, and just such a crazy time. I'm almost surprised there's not more out there.
Well, see, there was a 1733 fleet, and that sank down by the Keys, and the king needed all that money. I mean, he was broke. He had them in these wars and that stuff. There's a story goes out that his wife wouldn't consummate the marriage, but that wasn't true. Until she got her dowry. But some of them ships waited until 1715. I got that turned around, but they wait 3-4 years just to load the ship.
Yeah.
So your oldest coin that you found down there was what was the oldest dated coin? That one 1650, or did you get older than that?
I think about the 16. I've only got 3 or 4 that are dated. This one has got the 701 on it, which is 1701, and then the 64, and then this one has got the assayer's name on it.
Yeah, you're able to date it from the assayer.
This one here is 1711, and it's got the OMJ on there, and that's OMJ.
Oh, what does that stand for? OMJ. Is that an assayer?
The OMJ is Mexico.
Oh, the O over the M.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
And the assayer would be.
Oh, I see. Look how clear that was.
Yeah. And I'm not holding.
I've never seen that particular mark before. OMJ.
Yeah. Well, you see that one quite a bit. That's pretty common.
Yeah, I see that. It's coming up pretty good there.
We've seen the OM. What's the J for?
Yeah. What does the J stand for?
I don't know.
That's fair.
The O over the M is Mexico City, right? And then the J. I've never seen that.
I will know tomorrow, but I don't know right now.
That's fair. If he even remembers.
So what would my 8 real with the 20 G on it be? Do you know?
I have no idea. 20 G.
Yeah. Is that grams maybe? 20 grams of silver?
There was probably a coin that started with G or a denomination that 20 of them made up that coin.
Yeah, because like these are 30-some grams, the cob coins.
Or
something like that. And most of them will weigh less than that. This one is probably the best coin I've ever found.
So you've been down there for what, a couple of weeks now for the start of this winter. Have you gotten anything good yet?
No,
not yet.
I got I think about 5 rings, and that's about it.
Gold or toy rings?
No, I haven't got any gold yet. I got a couple silver, and then I got one that may be old. And it was really encrusted in the other room there, and it's small. And I cleaned it. I had it in a tumbler for about, I'd say 5-6 hours. I take it out, put it back in, and that stuff. That it may be old, and I'm waiting to show that to Steve Hodges, because a lot of that stuff I find I don't know. Like on this Posy ring, I was showing a buddy of mine, Dennis Halverson, who goes over to England and he texts, and he looked at this thing and he said, "Well, it's a Posy ring." I had no idea what it was. So.
That's how we are. We don't know it until we find it, and then you do so much diving into it, and you add it to that database in our brains.
And that's half the fun. The research is. It really is. When I went to school, history was stupid. I just wanted, I'm more worried about the future, not the past. Now, and I tell everybody, if you want to know what's going on in a community or a place to hunt, talk to the oldest guy in town. And all of a sudden, I'm the oldest guy.
Sometimes. So let me ask you. I'm going to give you a scenario. Let's say you go out the day after a big storm comes in, and you see a whole lot of dirt removed from the cut of the what's the word, Doug?
Beach.
From the dune.
The dune. You see a whole bunch cut from the dune, or out by the waterline, you see a big crevice that was bore out. Where are you going first?
I'd go to the crevice.
Oh, you would? You'd go out to the waterline.
Yep, I'd go out to the waterline because that stuff goes up and down the beach, and where that crevice is, I think it catches it. I found there's 2 or 3 times that I found 5 or 6 rings at one spot. And they weren't lost. There, that 2-carat diamond. There's room to park. There was by an access, but there's room to park maybe 4 cars, and I find 5 gold rings there. I mean, give me a break. They didn't lose it there. And
well, when I read it in your book, what I'm envisioning in my mind, and maybe I'm wrong, is, Doug, you ever see those guys that like pan for gold, or they use a sluice box, and the gold all along the trail sinks to the bottom because it's heavy.
It's heavy. Yeah.
So when you're panning, it sinks to the bottom of each ring, or in the sluice box, it sinks to the bottom on each step. So when there's like a cut out of the ocean floor, all the gold that potentially could be going by is going to go to that low spot, and it's stuck there. So if he goes to those cuts, I would imagine that over time, any gold that could have floated by is now going to be stuck in that low area, and it ain't getting out. So I would have thought that might be the primo spot if what I'm envisioning is true.
That I've had so much success with those. It just, that stuff moves. It really does. And when it gets caught there, I tell everybody, if you see that bowl and it looks like it's a half mile away, don't detect your way up there. Run up there before somebody
run up there.
Yeah. So Terry, how set are you for 4 of us coming down and spending 6 months at your place?
Is there room in your trailer, Terry, for us to lay on the floor?
Look at the look. I hope he's joking.
When I got married, I was going into the Navy, and I couldn't find a place for my wife to live, so I bought a trailer house. Now, I've worked my whole life, worked very hard, 1 or 2 jobs at a time, and now we're back in a trailer house. It's just kind of sad.
Yeah, I love it, though. It's quiet. You're in a great area, and I'm so glad that your wife appreciates what you do, and I don't want to say allows you to do it, but a supportive spouse makes life easier.
She is very supportive of me, and she goes along in these talks. She does a great job. We have, by the way, I do have a home up in Minnesota.
Yeah, I know you still maintain your other home. And I saw your wife in some of your videos. She seems like a very supportive spouse. So congratulations, 60 some years too.
Well, she's put up with an awful lot. It just, her favorite saying is, "You did what?"
That's great.
Mine is, "I'm sorry."
Got it on a loop.
Yeah. Well, Doug, I'm going to get ready to wind this down. Terry's given us 1 hour and 45 minutes of his time, and I'm so appreciative. Is there any last things? I'll go down the road, Doug, that you have for Terry. Anything last before we say?
I've got a million questions, but I think I'll save them for when we go down and visit him.
Yes.
I would like that if you guys come down. I really would.
I would
like to come up with you guys. I've never.
I would love it. I would love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. Like I said,
do you guys in Florida? I know you have hurricanes. We have nor'easters up here, and we look for the beach to change during one of these nor'easters. Do you have anything like that on a regular basis that you look for?
Well, yeah, I don't look for them. I just watch the forecast. I pray for them.
I hope everybody's okay, but I hope it comes barreling through.
Don't do any houses, but take the beach.
Charlie, any last things for Terry before we cut him loose?
I just wondering if he ever did the Gulf Coast.
I've been over the Gulf Coast a couple times, and I've hunted in the water. There you can go in the water, and I think I got one ring, but it was, it was really a nice experience. I want to go over this year and go up the Peace River and look for fossils and that stuff.
Right.
Well,
I can't wait to hit the beach that I have, and all the guys can come with me, but I don't want Doug to wear his Speedo though.
No, yeah.
That's not for me.
That's because he's jealous.
We gotta keep him covered up. We gotta keep. Doug has a body meant for blind people.
Yes.
I tell everybody I quit playing for poker. I was afraid I was going to lose and nobody'd look.
Rich, Lynn, any questions for Terry before we cut him loose?
You mentioned that seventh ship that sunk, off near where you are. Did you used to dive? Have you actually seen it?
I haven't seen it. I do dive. I still dive, but not very often, but I do dive. And I believe the ship out there, it's in 43 foot of water. There's a cannon there. They found a pistol dated 1709, a boarding sword. When they announced that they found it, they even included my coin.
Wow.
When they announced what they said, the 1701 2 real, because I had the archaeologist out. He wanted to know right where I found it. But I believe that the ballast pile is south quite a ways. In fact, I think I know where it's at. So that ship, went over and the bottom got tore out, and the ship kept going up there because of the tornado or the hurricane. And so, I haven't seen it, but I know it's there. I talked to everybody that.
And the things that you have found on that beach, you think are from that ship?
Yep, I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're all.
It may not be, but I mean, it makes sense. It's right,
Yeah, it's right there.
Do you know how many lives were lost?
I think it was over 1,000.
Yeah, when I looked it up, Charlie, it said 1,500 soldiers lost their lives, and a few handful made it back on the limited lifeboats they had.
Wow.
And like he said, they only crashed 600 yards offshore, but I guess during a hurricane with the waves and everything, it just
one of the ships was actually up on the shore, on the beach, and they used that as a salvage camp, and there's so many stories. They can't all be true.
I also read, Terry, and I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but I read that along with the 11 ships in this fleet, there was a 12th ship that was a French ship.
Yeah.
And that captain was following them because he didn't know how to make the trip on his own. And he also sank. Was there French treasure that's also lost in the mix of all this Spanish treasure?
There's 2 French ships that sank north up here by Cape Canaveral. And they're French, and there are 1,500 ships. The 12th ship actually was ahead of them. See, they wouldn't allow the French ship to leave because they were afraid that the word to get out to the pirates that they're taking off with all the elite. So the French ship had to go. Well, the treasure ships were really overloaded and heavy, where the French ship wasn't. And he got all the way back to Spain, didn't even know that
so the French ship made it back.
Yes, it did.
I thought okay.
That's what I have been told, and by, people should know. But I do know there's a couple French ship up north, and that's, I think, where this 1,500 coin come from,
Gotcha.
Where was this fleet headed? Were they on their way somewhere or on their way back?
On the way back to Spain. See, these cob coins would have been melted down and then turned into mill coins.
Okay.
And they had a war. It was like a long time. 10, 12 years or something like that. Anyway, Spain was broke. He needed the money. And that's why they were headed back to Spain. And the reason they come by the coast here is that there's a current to go through.
Yeah.
And they get the current to get
Like
that
a headwind almost. Yeah.
and they delayed too long, because it's, the hurricane season had already started when they left, and of course they got caught by the hurricane.
Can you imagine being the king of Spain? Like, oh my God, I'm so broke, guys, and then you get a letter that the entire fleet sank. Like, that's a bad day. That's a bad day for that guy.
Well, they salvage a lot of it,
Yeah.
And it's funny, like I've got a lot of Indian pottery and stuff like that, and the Indians, the Ayes Indians or A's Indians down here, they were big, and the French were small, and yet they took these people slaves, and the A's Indians disappeared in 1764. There's no record of them after that.
I heard about that. They just vanished.
Yeah. So I think that maybe they got smallpox or some disease,
and
Seminoles come in and kind of took over. The history part is fascinating,
It is. It's like that with that famous was it Roanoke, where everyone just sort of vanished, and
Roanoke Island.
They apparently actually figured that out once and for all. Where they I didn't get a chance to read it yet, but
You're talking about Oak Island, though, right?
No,
Roanoke in Virginia.
For Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never seen the Oak Island show, so it's so weird. A guy that kind of lives in this world, I've never seen it, so I'm out of the loop on that show.
They paid me to interview me.
Did they really?
Yeah, $250 I got.
Wow.
And I took a bunch of Spanish coins over there, some artifacts, and I took my wife's rings along, and at that time, this was only 70 rings. She's got twice that many. She had 2 or 3 in each one. And they took about 30 pictures of her rings, and when the program aired, there's no Terry Shannon on there, just my wife's ring. So she's got.
Wow. Is your name in the credits of the show?
No, I don't think so. I don't know.
Wow.
They bought me supper too.
Wow.
And what did you get for that? $250?
Yeah.
Wow. We got more for Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, we were on a TV show, Terry. I mean, it doesn't compare to what you were on. But yeah, we've kind of done something like that.
But it was par for our course.
Yeah.
Well, I've had a good time tonight.
Yeah, Terry, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I appreciate it. Tell your wife thank you for sharing us. I hope you have a great summer or winter rather.
Yeah.
And find some good things. And I'm not kidding. We might try to get down there maybe for a weekend. Hopefully this winter, maybe next winter. I'd love to join you and learn from the master. Yeah.
No, that'd be great. That would be great. And I've got some friends that will join us, and we'll take you out.
Yeah, the more the merrier. I would love it. Well, Terry, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll have you on again, my friend.
Well, thank you. I've had a great time, and I appreciate what you've done for me. And I hope somebody buys this book.
Yes, everybody. Like I said, there's a link in the description of the video. Make sure you check out his website. You won't be disappointed. Never-ending stories and a super nice guy. So go show him some support. You even have them on ebooks, so they can download it. You don't even have to get a book. It's like $7.
Yeah, I don't have the cop one on ebook. I'm going to do that. What I did, I made the mistake when I put it in there. They say from ages, from like 14, it's supposed to be up to like 70 or 80. I put 14 to 18. I don't know why I did that.
Oh, it's a very limited range.
And I finally got it taken off yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So it's like 3 days, So they're kind of hard to deal with at times. But
yeah, I believe it. Well, make sure you guys go check it out. Like I said, there's links to all his books on his page, terryshannon.net, I believe it was. And there is a link down below. Terry, thank you very much again for spending the night with us. And I'm really looking forward to having you on again in the future.
Nice much. Anytime. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Have a good night now. Thanks to everybody that tuned in also.
Yes, thank you. Had a good turnout all night.
Okay.
See you later, Terry.
Yeah, take care.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Doug, what a good guy.
It was incredible.
Oh, I have to go up on top, Doug. I need to be in the left.
That's okay.
Doug, I didn't really know Terry real well until we had him on. I knew he was a famous guy, but, I said, I'm going to try to reach out to him. He might blow me off, because I thought he was, a bigwig in the hobby. Such a nice guy. I mean, from the second I talked to him, I told my wife, I was like, well, I really like him. He reminds me of us. Reminds me of Charlie. Just a nice guy that is helpful. He's not selfish about his knowledge or anything like that.
No, for all the things that he's found, he's willing to tell everybody that watched tonight how he finds it.
Yeah, how he finds
it. It might be cutting into his finds.
Sure, that's what
but he's willing to give that information up.
Yeah, he's passing that on, so other people, like I said, like he said, you got to work for it. You can't just expect to walk on those beaches and leave with pockets full of stuff.
They jump in your pouch, yeah.
But he gives you the knowledge. You have to put in the effort and the work, and you might just get something really incredible down there. So kudos to him for sharing all that with the world. Like I said, he really made an impression on me from that first phone call I had, and I was really excited to have him on. From weeks ago when I heard the news. So.
Yeah. And a great sense of humor.
Yeah, just a good guy. Just a good
kind of guy.
When I watched all his videos, my wife watched them with me. My wife doesn't usually watch metal detecting videos, but even she liked him. He passed her test, Doug. So now next week is Thanksgiving. There'll be no show next Thursday, but we're really back in 2 weeks. We do have a guest. I'm having. They're not getting back to me, so I'm not going to announce who they are yet in case something falls through. I can only correspond with them through Instagram Instant Messenger, which I don't use. It's been a tough conversation, so we'll see. But in 2 weeks, hopefully they're on, and it'll be a surprise that day. But Doug, I'm going to get ready to wind this up. Is there anything you want to say to the people out there? Again, thank you everybody for hanging out. I saw nothing but positive comments towards Terry the entire night. So thank you to everybody. And if I missed you earlier, I'll ramble off a few more hellos before we end this. But Doug, any last things we're going to say before we close this out tonight?
Nope. Thanks for coming by. Hope to see you in 2 weeks.
Yes. Charlie, anything last you'd like to say?
Not really, except that I'm anxious to hit the beach. I learned a lot from him tonight.
He's good. I'm telling you, he's good.
I usually don't do well. I find clad coins all the time, but I think I learned a lot that can help me out.
Yeah, I think he takes the vastness of the beach and he makes it that much smaller.
Right.
And if you can concentrate on the better spots, you have a better chance of being successful.
See, I always wait until the people leave and I detect where the people had their towels and whatever.
Yeah, the beach line.
I actually need to go down.
Yeah, the water.
Yeah. He said in his experience, for every one ring on the towel line, there's 7 or 8 in the water line.
Yep.
So you got to play the odds like a roulette wheel.
That's what I'm going to do now.
All right. Lynn, Rich, any last minute things? And Rich, how'd you make out your vehicle?
Well, I got the spare on and I need a new tire. So
you can't plug it? It's in the sidewall or something?
No, but it's been plugged several times, and the plug just keeps coming out no matter what I do, no matter what plugs I use, no matter any of it. So I was using plugs that they use for 18-wheelers, and it still came out.
Really?
Yeah. So
maybe you're like when you're boring that hole, maybe you're boring it too wide.
No, it's a small hole.
Is it?
Not much bigger than the nail I took out of it.
Oh, okay. Gone Digging, I just saw our buddy Matt Hale, who did the show just a few weeks ago. I'm glad. Matt, you're going to have to watch it back. If you hunt beaches sometimes, Terry was a plethora of knowledge, Matt.
Yeah, we've never had a bad guest, but he was an incredible guest.
He was exceptional.
I saw relics I never knew existed, and like Charlie said, all the. I actually kind of want to try the beach now, not for modern rings and stuff, but for, anything else.
That's why, some of the guests I have coming on, and it started with like Brandon when he went on about the bottles and Matt Hale when he went on about the shark teeth and stuff. It's inspiring me now. I've reached out. I've got a fossil guy coming on. I've got a meteorite guy coming on. There's a gemstone guy I'm working with. Slight offshoots that are similar because I'd like to know more about these things because I don't know a whole lot about them. And Terry, a master of the beach, I thought, man, what a great person, like I said, to take the vastness of a beach and make it that much smaller. I was a huge fan and honored that he came on.
Yeah, it was great. Want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving next week.
Yeah, happy. What are you, Lynn? Are you cooking for the big turkey day?
We're gonna have it here, and everybody does bring something. So Rich makes this awesome sweet potato casserole that's out of this world. So that's what he's bringing.
Okay, Doug, are you going anywhere for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, we're going out to dinner.
Just you and the missus
And the mother-in-law.
Okay, you got a reservation somewhere?
Yes, we do.
Chinese place? Fa ra 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 ra.
That's Christmas.
Yes. No, we're going to Rocco's.
Oh, that sounds good. Nice paisan place.
Yeah.
Charlie, how about you? Thanksgiving. What's the feast?
Right next door.
Oh, your daughter's house.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Are you cooking the turkeys, Charlie?
No, I just got done cooking 30 turkeys. I'm not going to cook anymore.
Yeah, he's done for the year.
Hey, you figure you cook 30. What's one more? Come on.
At least that you have a safe walk home. No, because Charlie's big on not drinking and walking.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
No Uber needed when you're.
How about you, Jay? What are you doing?
We're going to my sister-in-law's house, who usually puts out a huge spread. There's turkey, there's pork, there's all. I don't even know, but she's a really good cook, so we're going over there. Looking forward to a fun Thanksgiving, and everybody out there. Have a fun Thanksgiving. I'm thankful that people tune in every week, Doug. And watch this.
I want to say hola to my friend Ricardo in Chicago.
Let me hear you say his last name, Doug. Is it like Villarreal?
Villarreal.
You're supposed to be the most Spanish of all of us.
Yeah, but I had a couple glasses of wine.
Oh, okay. That's well. All your letters should scroll better than. So, all right, I'm going to end the show, Doug.
All right.
Lynn, Rich, Charlie, Doug, thank you, everybody. Everybody in the chat. Sue Ramsey, you're digging at metal detecting. Mark B., Martin Canseco. I did see Clem Fandango in there. And Clem, who did I just say? Clem Fandango and Turd Ferguson. I saw Dangus Squatburger, Dave and Laura, Hensley's Hobbies / Doug, Crazy Diggin'. Ray, French Creek Detector, Chris Marquardt, Mark B, everybody. If I didn't get you, NEPA, History and Archaeology, everybody, thank you for joining us all night.
French Creek, sorry to interrupt. French Creek
love it.
Detector. Is he French Creek up here in Chester County?
Oh, he is?
I'm that's what I'm asking. Maybe
okay. All right, type it in real quick if you are. Yes. Doug Bait and Shop, Crazy Diggin'. Everybody have a safe Thanksgiving and have a good time. I'll see if he answers, Doug. Yeah. Doug has to ask a question as I'm ending the show. Now we all have to wait for the answer.
We get paid overtime after 9:30.
Right. Well, I'm going to end the show. He can still type in the chat if he does, Doug. I'm tired. My throat hurts. But I'm going to close it out. Hey, thank you for watching, everybody. Happy hunting, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.
See you.
Night.